everybody? It's your boy Alex G, alongside Mal, and this is a Couple of Things podcast, where we're here to talk about a couple of things. How are you doing today?
Tired.
Same. Definitely
I'm
just
running on like 2 hours of sleep.
We had a long day. Honestly, I wasn't even feeling like getting out the bed. I rarely have those opportunities where I have nothing to do on the weekend. So like,
usually you're up. Too.
I'm always up. Like, as of late,
laying that, like you're still like knocked at like 11.
Yeah.
Usually you're up already.
As of late, I've been just running on fumes. I need to take a day. Probably tomorrow. Even tomorrow I can't even chill out. But
I know.
Whatever.
That's why we need 3-day weekends.
Yeah, let's incorporate 3-day weekends.
Maybe one day. I will hope so, and some time in the future. Hopefully in our lifetime, because there's really no reason to work 5 days a week anymore.
It's all pointless.
Yeah, like 5-day work weeks were created when there was less technology and more work to be done. But now we have like technology. You don't need to work 5 days a week anymore.
There's so many times at work where I'm not doing anything. It's like, why am I even here?
Like my boss literally let me go home at 11:45. Well, let me go home. Let me log off at 11:45 a.m. on Friday. Like I could have just had the day off, you know.
But the crazy part is they're going to be like, oh, it's only a 4-day work week, so now you're going to get paid less. Which, I mean...
I would hope they wouldn't cut
They would do that. They would definitely do that. You know they would. Which makes sense, I guess.
They would not cut my pay. Because no.
Whatever.
I mean, but then you think about a company like Prudential, like where I work at. Now that we have, that we've been working from home, a lot of real estate has been sold. So they're saving all that money anyway. So don't cut my salary.
No, they're not gonna give that off to you guys. They're
but they're saving money by us not being in the office.
Yeah, but they're gonna keep all of it.
We should actually be getting more money right now, low key.
But they would never do that.
Low key. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
maybe when I get my raise at the year end, we'll see what they do. I will hope I get a nice raise. My first raise was good, and then I got a promotion. And then my second raise was kind of mid, but I will hope this raise coming up will be good. Hopefully, because I did a lot of stuff too. I did a lot of stuff working from home, like crazy stuff, like last minute changes and stuff. So, fingers crossed, because I like money.
Yeah. Well, let's begin. Yeah, first and foremost, we want to put our thoughts and prayers out to everyone in Haiti. There's updated count on the death toll.
What is that?
It's like over 300 now. So, yeah, it's insane. It's like crazy how like the nicest parts of the world have like some of the craziest natural disasters. And it's like there's nothing you could do about it. And it's a shame because like I don't even know what the solution is there. Like obviously infrastructure change is like important because there's some buildings and there's some things that are able to
the buildings are just not made well because and you take a place like California, all the buildings are made to sustain stuff like that. Like they work to make, obviously there's still going to be tragedies in the future, but
yeah, at least you have some sort of thing. Like it's crazy how like they detonated that building down the street and they were like they had to take out the bomb proofing to even detonate it. So it's just like you take a simple building like that has all these safety preventative measures, and it's like I feel like if you did that in those countries that it would help. Yeah, it's crazy, and there's nothing you could do.
Too, like impoverished, you can't talk.
And they wouldn't even. I don't even know if they would leave for that reason, like try to go to a different country or something like that. So I feel like there's like no solution with these things, unfortunately.
It's just too many people to move. I wonder, like, I'm not really that aware with, like, geology, I guess, but I wonder if DR gets bad earthquakes like that, because it seems like it's always Haiti. I mean, not always Haiti, but, they said this is the worst since the 2010 earthquake, and I remember that vividly, because my mom had a friend that died in an earthquake.
Yeah.
So, that she was there when it happened.
I would assume they wouldn't, which is crazy, because obviously we know the proximity between the two places.
Yeah, it's literally one island.
Yeah, so it's a little wild how one side gets it and the other side doesn't, but it makes sense. And
it's just all about your positioning on the earth.
Yeah, and the tsunami warnings and stuff, obviously, we hope that doesn't happen. I don't think that it will, but, who am I?
You just never know.
You never know.
An earthquake mixed with hurricane season is kind of a crazy combination. Yeah. I will hope no hurricanes or tropical storms happen anytime soon while they're, like, still recovering.
Yeah, so we're just going to put our thoughts and prayers out for everybody that lives in the islands and stuff because it's a wild time of year. Great, yeah. And you never know when it's going to happen. It just just
I
like
really
that.
want to do my research, especially because like obviously we like to travel, so it's like I'm not trying to go to. I mean, we have risk in our own country, but it's like I don't know. I mean, you shouldn't live like that. You should always just be. Cause you could go to Cali for
That's,
the weekend and get caught up in the worst earthquake that might ever happen over there.
yeah,
So
that's what I mean with like the good weather and stuff. Like Texas, you get like the floods,
you just
and
there's nowhere is
Florida,
perfect.
like the whole southern, basically anywhere where there's water. I mean, even over here,
We could get bad thunderstorms,
parts of
and
Jersey floods out
yeah,
like crazy.
and obviously we have blizzards.
Yeah, but like Cali, the good weather, and they get like torn up with all types of natural disasters. It's like a wild, like a
I
wild
mean,
scenario.
Earth in general is
It's
just
crazy.
kind of like
We're not meant to
everything's a
survive.
gamble, and nature's always gonna win. So I just feel like you kind of just have to live life not worried. Like obviously, just be cautious and be smart, but like not some stuff might not be avoidable. That's just life, and I feel like you just can't live scared. You just gotta hope for the best and just prepare yourself. Like lots of times some stuff is like very prevented. Like what's the word? Avo-
Avoidable.
avoidable. Oh my god, I have a bad memory lately. I don't know what's going on. A lot of stuff is avoidable. Like when they give us warnings about blizzards, some people would think they are like stronger than nature, so they'll still go out when we literally are like in a state of emergency. They'll still do so. So a lot of times we can be safe. I just feel like in places like Cali, there's no warning for earthquakes. Like I don't know if they have any warning system. They're not really predictable.
But even still, it's like, I mean, it's tough to make the argument because I could say that I live in Jersey because I was born in New Jersey. Like I don't, there's no other
Yeah,
reason why I'm here. So, but then it's like at the same time, it's like
yeah. People
what
who
you're getting
willingly
into,
move to those places.
or
Like
that
so
continue
many people
to,
move to LA, and
or
it's
people
like,
that continue to live there knowing the circumstances. Like I know I was born in Jersey, or probably will never leave New Jersey, but
yeah,
like if there was just like a new thing where like Jersey is like susceptible to an avalanche or something, some wild like natural disaster, I probably would leave.
yeah. 'Cause honestly, when you really think about everything that happens all around the world, honestly, I feel like our part of the country, like
Chilling.
we're just like we don't have it really that bad here. Like when you really think about it, like I said, the worst that we really would have is some like flooding now, and that's because I feel like environmental changes. But even like where we're at, we really don't experience that much. But honestly, flooding is kind of rare. It only happens in the summer and like or spring when it's bad weather. Obviously, we have thunderstorms, which could be bad because our power literally went out the other day.
I
And then
mean,
we just have blizzards. That's really our only natural disaster up here is blizzards. Like,
the snow
and we
is
we had
crazy.
we had a tornado recently though too.
We live in an interesting part of like even in New Jersey because like depending on where you live, like if you go up north, when it might be like 5 inches of snow here. You go up north and it's like 24 inches of snow
Yeah,
and it's just like crazy. But that's like almost upstate New York
that's why I
territory.
like where I used to live. It was like the perfect spot in the state, honestly, in my opinion, because we were like kind of pocketed in the valley. We live like in the valley, like so. We were at the top of the valley though. Like we were still at the top of the mountain. So like you have the area like Peaburg, which all the flooding will happen there because that's the lowest level. It's right by the river. We were like up here, so we didn't get flooding. I mean we got bad snow because we were in the mountains, but other than that, a lot of stuff kind of was avoided. So
But those valleys though, you get that
the
running.
runoff. But like I said, we were at the top of the valley, so we kind of were good. Because the way that the Lehigh Valley is like a valley. So you have where I lived, you have Peaburg, we're at the bottom, and then it goes back up again, like Bethlehem. Like, when we used to go to casino, you're going back up the mountain, Bethlehem, Allentown. So it's literally just one dip
Yeah,
from the river. But yeah.
but yeah, prayers to them.
Yeah, very sad. I just
Sucks.
can't imagine. Like apparently Hades, like that's why I don't like to speak on things when I'm not really knowledgeable. But apparently there's like a lot of stuff going on with them. Like I think politically and like people keep like a lot of people are saying like my country can't catch a break. Like people who are from there. So I just feel bad. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, just wanted to say that first. I don't even know what there is to talk about today. Not a
I
ton
know
of
we don't even have
stuff,
a lot of topics because nothing really happened this week. Like this was a really kind of slow week,
which is good.
which is good because we could just kind of just talk about other stuff. Like obviously this podcast is not just all about like we're not just like reporting the news and giving our like opinions on the news. We still could just talk about stuff, talk about
Jesus.
like just anything. But we do have some topics that we could talk about. So let me start off. Ooh,
Yeah,
Sorry.
get that out the
Is that
mic.
scratching it?
Yes, it's probably
Look,
scratching your
look
phone.
at him.
Yeah, because it sounds crazy, right?
Come here, Fendi. You want to come say hi?
What is that noise?
Oh my God, maybe it's the phone.
Look what you're doing.
Okay.
You're messing up our audio. I don't think we introduced, but we have
Fendi. He's asleep.
He's asleep over here in the
He's
corner.
so cute though. I want to show you guys, but
He's our guest for today.
I mean, we had that other clip in the beginning. You could just throw it in there.
I'm not throwing that clip in there.
He's asleep though. He had a long day.
But
Right, Fendi?
yeah. What do we got for today?
All right. So I guess we could start with the whole Brittany Renner and PJ Washington situation.
It's a wild start.
Yeah, right. We just jumping right into the mess. But I know you don't really be up to date with all the current events, so I can kind of give you the quick rundown based on what I saw. But
I know.
Yeah, it's basically like he said it was cat, but I don't know. He probably was embarrassed, but
that's the thing. Like when I first saw that, I thought it was a joke. I
that's
thought
what I don't know.
I thought the thing was that she was plotting on doing that.
Yeah, but that video that you saw of her saying like the best way to like get money is to mess with an athlete because they're dumb.
Yeah.
That was an old video, I think. So it just shows that she kind of just been her MO. Is she pregnant? I don't even know if she was pregnant.
I don't know.
I don't keep up with any of these people. I don't keep up with like Drea, Brittany Renner, like all those girls. I don't really keep up with them anymore. I used to because Brittany, I thought Brittany was cool because like her fitness stuff and her fitness stuff. Like I like admired like her body. That was like that's like for me it was like a goal to get like my like fitness body goal was her for the longest. But I haven't really been keeping up with her in years, probably since like 2017. But is she pregnant?
Who knows?
I mean, I guess she is because the rumors want to just be out of nowhere.
Yeah, but that happens all the time. You know, like they said, Young M.A. was pregnant.
Yeah, but that's different.
People just be saying stuff. That's why you can't verify anything.
I think she was pregnant though. Yeah, she was. I do remember these pictures. That's him in the picture. That's P.J. Washington.
I don't know.
That is him. I don't know who P.J. Washington is. I thought you might know him because he's a basketball player.
Nah, not familiar.
So I guess they unfollowed and deleted each other in July of this year. Just 2 months after welcoming their baby, they unfollowed each other and deleted each other. And then P.J. Washington said, "You can never build a kingdom with someone who still craves attention from the village."
Now that is a fact. That's a great quote.
So it just makes me wonder, like, was this her whole plan to get pregnant, then leave him and then get child support? Because apparently they said the child support was $200,000 a month, and somebody did the math. They said that his like NBA contract is 4.8 mil. I think they said, and they said after taxes that's like 2.8. I guess 2 million in taxes, which is crazy. Taxes is really a crazy thing. And then they said 2.8 million, and then they said 200,000 times 12 is 2.4 million, which leaves him with $400,000 of spending money. Let's do a math check. Yeah. So they said that he would be left with $400,000 of spending money, if that's true. If that's how much. But I feel like if you were making that much, I don't know if the judge would make him pay that.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah, I mean, they do it based off your salary.
But it's more than that too.
And they do it based off your gross salary, I'm assuming.
The court system again is designed for women. I've said this mad times.
You said this before.
Like on a podcast. Like literally, there's no way around it. There's nothing that you can do about it because they assume that because you impregnated the woman that it's like your fault, which is true. Like, but then again, it's like there's joint like why can't the woman make why does the kid need $200,000 to support them? Like that's the confusing part that I don't understand. Like I've never.
Yeah, because just because you have the money, why do you need that much money to spend? Like I feel like it should be based. I'm like, I can't talk. Oh my god, it should be based off what the necessities are.
Yeah.
Like the necessities are not a Hermes crib.
Yeah.
Like you don't need $200,000 a month.
The way they calculate it is based off the spouse that makes the most money, because this can happen to women too. It just doesn't, because men statistically make more money. It's based off of how much you make, and then it's also based on what the mother says is like needed for the month. So like they might have they have a budget of $5,000 a month for clothes for the
Yeah,
kid,
which is dumb.
which is insane.
Like, just because you make that much money doesn't mean you need to give them that much money.
And
Like, I get the whole spousal support thing with a divorce, but even that is a
I don't
wild
get that either.
concept. Like, if you whatever money you had before you met the person, you could go off of that. But that's why prenups exist. So
I, it's but that's why I say it's designed for women because the court grants that money, and there's no way to verify if the kid ever even gets that. Like they need to have a system if they're gonna do this. Like this is a terrible,
that's
terrible
true.
thing. They need to have a way to vet receipts and stuff like that. They like need to produce accounting for what, like that the money is being spent
Like, they need to prove
on
that.
something,
Yeah.
or like I've heard that similar to I'm really not familiar with this stuff at all, and that sounds super pretentious for what I'm about to say, but like I'm not familiar with the way like some of like the I don't like the EBT cards work or like
Yeah.
food stamps. Like you can only use them in certain
And like
places.
WIC, like 'cause I used to work at ShopRite, so like I dealt with that stuff all the time. Like people using WIC checks as like woman, infant, child,
Yeah,
and like there's certain stuff you could get at ShopRite that
exactly.
was covered.
I feel like they should do the same thing with child support because most of
Yeah,
the time I've heard that these kids never see any of it.
yeah,
Like,
and like then the kids like you see pictures of them and they look dusty, and you're like, where's
but
the money?
and then the kid grows up saying that they hate their dad because they
They weren't
never
supported.
received. Yeah, and it's like, wait a second.
That actually that's so sad. Honestly, like, I mean, at the end of the day, as a man, even if you love somebody, and as a woman too, because women obviously could be the person with the money, but you should just always protect yourself. And like, I don't know, weren't they married? I thought they were married.
I have no familiarity with
Me
any of these
neither.
people. Like I don't pay
her.
attention
I
to
don't know
nothing.
him.
I don't know him. I don't know I've never seen him ball. So
It's just sad because how do you avoid this?
you
I mean,
don't be
don't
stupid.
get her pregnant so quick.
But also all these guys, it's like from a guy's perspective, it's like you grow up like
Yeah, he probably
I'll,
Ben saw her.
in a weird example, I'll use myself. I grew up watching Brittany Renner on Vine and
Yeah.
on Instagram and stuff like that. But then now I'm in a room or I have the type of money where you can gain the attention of those type of women because you have the followers, you have the verified check, you got the money, you got all the
Yeah.
stuff that they would want. And now you're able to, like, you were lusting after them as a kid, but now you're in a position where you can go ahead and they can see you. You can send
Yeah.
that DM and they're gonna reply to it. So it's like they get too caught up in that, like these athletes, and then they're just blinded by it. And
But apparently, though, I don't know if you knew this. I Ben knew this. Like, I heard about this. She was plotting on him since before he was like even 18. I thought, like, she'd been plotting. I think she was going to like high school games or something, like something weird, or like college games. I don't know what it was, but she was like going to. Like, that's weird. She was plotting on him, and she's like 28, I think.
let that story
That
come out
is
about a guy.
creepy. I know.
Like I hate to be the guy
Like,
that
she's like literally a predator.
yeah, I hate to be that guy that talks about like hypocrisy and stuff because women go through so many different things that I think men take for granted. Like I've never walked outside and like been afraid. But I told you this story before. Like when we were on campus one time, I was walking. For people that don't know, there's a particular part of the school we went to where you walk towards a train station. It's just very dark, and
Oh.
there's not a lot of
That trail.
lights. Yeah, on the trail. And I was walking to
That
there.
trail was actually kind of sick
The trail is crazy.
for to have on college campus.
And
I
it's
mean,
ve-
it was gated, kind of. Not really.
It's
Though.
very dark, but even if it wasn't, like people would be camped out over there, like
Yeah.
going towards the train station, and it's like insane. Like I would never want a woman, whether it's my woman or not. I would, and by my woman I mean the person I'm dating. I don't mean to be possessive. I know people
Yeah,
will
you
take
gotta
that.
protect
Yeah,
yourself.
we
People are
gotta.
gonna be like, "Ooh,
He
he said my woman."
he thinks he owns her. No, I mean the person I'm dating. I would never want them to be walking there by themselves because I just find it to not be safe. So I felt bad because I was walking there, and then there was a girl walking from there by herself,
Oh,
and
yeah,
like
you
I
notice.
might look a certain way. Like I got the
Mm-hmm.
facial hair. People might have some bias and perceptions. I might have had a hoodie on. Like I might have looked a little, and all I wear is black, so I might have looked a little
So
crazy.
she
And
probably was like
I'm
scared.
nervous, and I'm like, damn, like I feel bad. Like you shouldn't have to experience that. So like, yeah.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. That trail was scary.
Yeah, that was a wild thing. Like, and then you
Ugh.
see me coming down there. It's like, that's not the vibes. And I don't know where I was going with that story. What were we just talking about?
How Brittany Renner's a predator, and how if it was the other way around.
Oh yeah. So I was saying like, I would just wanted to highlight like some of the hypocrisies and things, because that's like stuff that women go through, and I would never try to take that experience away from people. But man, there's so many like hypocritical things that women get off that men would be deleted from the face of the earth if they ever did that. Like if that
And
came out
usually,
about a
like
guy
men keep that stuff to themselves because it makes them feel like I feel like they don't even realize that it's like I don't know. Like I feel like they don't even know they're a victim.
because of how men are supposed to be macho and blah 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 blah.
But then it makes me wonder if they still sit sometimes and like reflect and be like, "That's bad." Like I wonder if they actually are emotionally affected by it, or if they really aren't. If they really like, if he like someone like him, if he's like, well, like I wasn't like a victim. Like
I would never generalize male thoughts, because I know some men would feel a way about it. But I know for the most part, in my experience with friends and stuff like that, most men would have been like, they would be like, "Oh, it's lit! Like
yeah, I
it's
was
the
with
older girl. Like
Brittany.
I got Brittany, blah blah blah." It's
And
like,
think about it, he was like 15 or 14 when she was popping a vine. That's sick.
bro, girls get
Like 13
not
even,
girls. Let me.
because that was like 7 years ago.
Yeah, women get some crazy
Wait,
things
7
off.
years ago, right? She was relevant when we were in high school.
Yeah,
He was like 11 then. That is sick. Like you said, imagine he was probably sitting watching her online.
yeah. Like I was saying, like that's the thing we grew up on. But man, let a story like that come out where a guy was plotting on a girl at a women's
But
high
people
school
did try to
basketball
bring
game.
that up though. They try to say, "Oh, nobody said this about Jay-Z and Beyonce," because apparently they met when Beyonce was like 18 and he was
Yeah,
like 30. I just feel like back then, like it's the same thing with like R. Kelly and Aaliyah. All that stuff kind of like people. I don't know if they knew it was bad or they just didn't care.
I was told by someone during that time that the whole idea of like that stuff, as well as child things on the internet, was not looked at the same way as it is today, where like if you did anything on the internet crazy with like a minor, that like you're you're gone, like you're out of
Yeah,
here. But like the internet back then and stuff like that was newer, and it's
and
like,
didn't really exist.
and then I was also told about like the Atlanta child kidnappings and murders and stuff like that, when that was going on. Where before, back in the day, our parents used to be able to go out to blocks and stuff like that and do whatever, because there was no like predators or things like that that existed. So I think like the whole mentality of like minor, like you know what I mean,
It's
like it's
changed,
changed, which
but
is
I just feel like something in you should click. But I just feel like in the black community, especially, like a lot of that stuff literally wasn't even looked at. Here comes Fendi Bear. Come here, Fendi.
say hi to the people.
Hey, you up? You awake?
Yeah, go back to
You think
sleep.
he's moving? You think he's hot?
Probably just trying to get comfortable. Probably cooking under that light over there.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, so I just feel like you said, back then they didn't really look at it anyway, which is like kind of scary.
crazy.
But I think some people do realize what's wrong, especially with Aaliyah. Like she was 15.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's sick. But yeah, that is kind of a bad thing when you really do think about Jay-Z and Beyonce. It is kind of like weird.
The
Like
on-
she was 18 and he was like 30, I think. Like
I think the don't hit the lights, Fendi. Go sit down. I think the only thing, you know, and I'm not gonna defend it or pick a position. I think the only difference that I would just highlight is that at least we we as society give the age 18 as being like the age. So if we're
yeah.
going based on that, I mean, how old was he? Was he exactly 30?
Let's see. I do think their age gap is a little higher.
Yeah, whatever the age gap is. I
Jay-Z.
mean, if we're gonna criticize it, at least she was 18, but he definitely wasn't plotting on her while she was.
Yeah, Jay-Z is 51 and Beyonce is 39. So let's do the math. 51 minus 39.
I mean, I would never do
That's
it.
a 12-year age gap. Yeah, 18 and 30.
Yeah, I would never do that, but you know,
Sick. Like me being 24 years old right now, I would have nothing in common with an 18-year-old, as far as I know. Like even me thinking back to how old we were at 18, we met at 18. We were so different, like very immature. Like I was posting stupid stuff on social media. Like I just showed you that Tumblr thing. Like that's very weird. Like now that I'm 24 years old, I'm like, what was I thinking? Like a lot of different things happen from 18 to now. And we're only 24. 30? I mean, I guess they say when you're in the music industry, you grow up faster. And Beyonce's been in the industry for a minute, but still, she was 18, young, vibrant, should have been living her best life low key. Now you got locked down by a 30-year-old man. Like that's sick.
yeah. I mean, I got you know.
Now that I'm older, I'm really thinking like we thought it was so cute, like oh gee, and like now I guess it's cute, but
I never. I mean, to each his own. I would never do that. That's all I can say. And I mean, at least she was 18. If I
I
mean,
mean,
without saying anything,
but I don't know. Who knows if he was plotting before she turned 18?
we don't know. But if he was, obviously, then we would still feel the same. But the thing is, if he was, then he would have got deleted off the face of the earth. Whereas you have women doing this. I wouldn't say more frequently, but like just to point out, like it's
The
like.
hypocrisy. But I will say I did see a lot of tweets
But
that were against Britney. Like a lot of people were coming at her crazy.
but I think it was more so like I think it would be different, right? Like if her intentions weren't for the money, I don't think that there would have been as much backlash. I think there was so much backlash just because the concept
Money.
of like the money thing and then she secured it. Like I saw somebody tweet that she just got an 18-year like $40 million
Yeah,
contract.
that's crazy.
Like that's basically what it was.
18 years, he's gonna get that money, and it might go up.
Yeah,
When he
as
when
he
he
makes more
makes.
money. But
That is sick. Like that's
even
it's so hard to
but
be like,
but look,
cause it was his fault too. I'm like that is a come up. It's a crazy thing. It is what it is. But like I
it's
guess she
like
accomplished what she wanted to.
and it's like you can see tweets and stuff like that, but it's like, and I don't believe in the whole cancel culture thing, but you see people tweeting it, but it doesn't lead to anything. Like the whole, like even when with Cardi B and her comments about drugging men and stuff like
Yeah,
that, like
didn't affect her at all.
like some people will tweet about it like blah blah blah, like she did this against men and blah blah blah,
Yeah,
but then it never leads to anything. And I don't believe in the whole cancel culture thing, but it's just that like if this was a man, like it would have
it would
been
been
it would have been insane.
yeah.
Shit would have been crazy. Like if he was like, yeah, I used to drug women, take their money, it would be like what what? It would be like a national outrage.
Yeah, and I hate that because I feel like you just said, women do go through more things. Like I'm not gonna act like we don't go through more things as a woman. Obviously, I could speak on my own experience, but it's just I feel like there is a lot of double standards that are really weird to me because like a lot of like men are victims too, especially like when it comes to stuff growing up. It's like it's always older women sometimes that end up like taking advantage of these like young kids. Like it's like really sick. Like there's a lot of stories like that where that happens, and like a lot of boys and like they think it's cool, but then I wonder if they get to a point where they're older and they're like, that was not cool. That was messed up. Because like a lot of them think it's bragging worthy. Like you know, a lot of rappers they'll have stories like, oh yeah, me and my babysitter, and like if you have a babysitter and you have stories with your babysitter, that's wrong. Like that's sick.
It's just, I mean, we grew up in a macho, you gotta go conquer and all
Yeah,
this other stuff, and that's how people grow up. And if you're not like that, then not only is it men that are making fun of you for that, it's also women that make fun of you for
yeah,
that. And now if you don't behave, so like I even see some women like basically promote if you're not like misogynistic, then you're gay. Which of course there's nothing wrong with that, but they use that as like
like you have to be a certain way.
yeah, because
Yeah,
it's not so much that there's a problem with being gay. It's just that like somebody labeling you something that you're not is like in the same way that gay people wouldn't want to be um categorized. Is that the word? Categorized that they like what you go by, like your pronouns or whatever. I'm just
like
not familiar with
labeled,
it.
I
Yeah,
guess.
like your labels, like whatever that
Yeah,
is. That is the same way that they wouldn't want to be mislabeled. Straight men wouldn't want to be mislabeled.
yeah.
But then now, if you come back, then now you're homophobic. It's just so much like so many
And it's
different
so much
things.
in our community too. Like it's a really a lot to unpack within the black community. And it's just sad. It's so sad. But I think the best place to start is just in your home. Like obviously the goal would be to make sure like, we teach our kids certain things and stuff and just hope that they suck it in and don't get like information from the outside world. Like that's why being a parent is scary. Cause if that imagine that, like you feel like you did the best you can to raise your kid and they still might be like weak minded and easily swayed and get information from their classmates who were raised poorly and now they're kind of messed up or like I be thinking too far ahead, but that's what my fears with being a parent.
One thing that is pretty interesting about this, though, is like how I keep saying about talking about the court system. One thing that's
Yeah,
interesting is that men predominantly have more power in these arenas.
that's
So it's
true.
just very interesting that like this exists, but it's like a male dominated, male created sort of system.
Yeah, and it actually was like a system that's kind of created for them to fail.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, But I guess the system was created more so like when men were the only ones working. But you would just think now in 2021, like the system would be very like, I don't know, fixed. Like they would like revamp it in some ways and like adjust it to updated, times. Because I feel like a lot of these systems were made when women like weren't working or weren't allowed to work, so they needed money, even if they divorced, they needed that
Right.
income.
I f- it would just be interesting, like they need to update rules. I think that's one thing
Yeah,
too. Like, I don't believe, I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I think everything is business related. So I'm like, that still existing and being a rule to me makes it feel like there's some higher
benefit.
benefit somehow, some way, somebody's getting more.
But it makes you wonder though, like even with how like lynching was just outlawed in some state,
Yeah,
that's weird.
because like some things just still exist.
It makes me wonder why stuff like that takes so long. I mean, I guess because the process of that stuff takes a while, but
It
you would think that would
probably,
be immediately, like someone sign it and
I don't
that's
think it
it.
takes that long.
Yeah, 40, 50 years,
But then again, I mean,
60
that
years.
one's a little bit different though, because some of those racist people. I mean, let's keep it 100. Those racist people, they don't care because it doesn't
Yeah,
impact
it
them.
wasn't like a priority too to outlaw it. Like they probably
Because it
it
didn't
was probably
impact
in the
them.
back of their mind.
It
But
probably
for
wasn't even
us, it's
there.
like mentally scarring. Like why is that still even a law?
Probably wasn't even in the back of their mind. Probably never thought about it. But yeah,
But yeah, the court system needs to be
some updates.
fixed. Because this isn't right. Like the fact that he's gonna end up now with only $400,000 gross, like that's nothing. I mean, that's a lot. But for what you're doing, you're supposed to be a basketball player, NBA player, and you're making as much as some people who are CEOs at a company or somebody who might be like, I don't know, like you're still making comfortable money, of course, but you're not gonna be living the lifestyle of some of your
That you could have.
teammates. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is,
And
it's
four hundred
like,
thousand dollars will go like this. And when you're living that, when you're up in those people lifestyle, like people are spending out like on half of that on a chain. Maybe not NBA players, but
and what I've heard from, heard from some people is that it almost makes you, and this wasn't from like athletes or people that have a lot of money, but like people, just your average person that gets a divorce. I've heard sometimes they like intentionally try to not succeed in life to spite the other
so you don't
spouse,
have the money
so
to
that they don't
give
even have the money to give anyway, because it's like, why am I gonna work harder
to
to
feed you basically.
yeah, it's like, why, like for him, for example, like why would he try to be better now in the NBA? Because it's like, I mean,
The more
obviously,
money he makes, the more she's gonna get. Like
yeah,
that's sick. And like you knowing that she like has a satisfaction over you, like she has a control over
and
you
there's
now
nothing
for the
you can
next
now
18
do,
years.
and that's why guys,
That is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, that's why.
But can you say that he wasn't smart because they were married? I did fact check that they were married, but it is very suspicious that she filed for divorce 2 weeks after the baby was born. Like how are you still postpartum, adjusting to being a mom, and that's on your mind? I mean, I guess birth and childhood, like having a kid, does affect relationships, but in 2 weeks,
I think, is he dumb? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I would.
that's what I'm
Is
saying.
that the word you used?
Dumb.
Did you say dumb?
I think so.
I don't.
It's like hard because it's like, were you naive? Did you not realize,
Well,
or were you really in love and thought this was gonna last? Like you
hope,
guys were married. Like maybe he felt like, oh, we have the title, we're married, so it's gonna work.
hopefully this doesn't come across the wrong way. But you hear these stories about women being groomed and stuff,
Yeah.
and it's like they're given a lot of I don't want to say slack, but they're given a lot of I don't know what the right word is. Like they can deal with all these different things, or some of their decisions like can be attributed to being quote unquote groomed. So like
Yeah.
we could say that maybe he wasn't dumb, maybe he was just
Like he
groomed
was just a
because
victim,
she was, yeah. So
and he felt like this is real. This is real love.
yeah.
She really loves me.
So
The whole time she might have been.
I'm gonna give him that same benefit of the doubt.
And it's just sad though because then it's like she's really at fault here. Like you took advantage of somebody, and now you're sucking him dry. Like
And now you have another fatherless child. Well, not
yeah,
fatherless, but like they're
there's gonna be
going
a
to be in
rift.
separate households, and then not that the statistic is even accurate, but then it just keeps contributing to the idea that black families don't stay together and they're all single family households, which is actually not even the case.
It's
But
not because I feel like partially they give you those stats to kind of brainwash us to make it feel like we're not progressing as people.
But the actual stat is not even, that's not even the real stat. They just try to like,
Make us look bad.
yeah, they just try to like do, I guess propaganda honestly would be the right word. It's like they try to position things to make it look that way, but it's not like that at all. It's not even like, you could go look, like, I went to school for economics. Like we looked at all this stuff. Like I looked at labor economics. Like I looked at employment rates and household incomes and all these different things. Like, and it's not, that's not even
It
true.
does make you wonder too, like when they tell you stats about the black. I mean, obviously there is a wealth gap, but
For sure.
then you hear certain stats like the average black household income is $9,000 a year.
Yeah, because
But I'm like, is that true? Can you have people like like my mom's in Martha's Vineyard right now, and she's around all very like affluent black people, and then it makes you wonder, is that true? I mean, that's a small section because obviously you go to the hood
yeah,
right down the street,
yeah,
and
there's thousands and tens of thousands and
yeah.
hundreds of thousands of people. All you go
But
look
it
at any
makes you wonder,
project
is
building.
that really true, or is that part of propaganda too?
Go look at like any project. I don't think that that's like a fact. I don't think,
That's crazy
because when
though.
I say propaganda, I don't mean the data, because the data is the data. Like it's,
Yeah,
there's no debating that. But I think that like the news and like certain people on the internet try to make things seem a
like
certain way,
worse.
but
Yeah,
the data itself is true. Like yeah,
yeah. Cause you can't just. That's all like IRS. Like that's all.
tax revenue. That's where they get all
Yeah,
this stuff from. Is
like we
from,
all had to sign a form usually. Like what is it when you get a job that you sign?
I don't know.
No, 1040. Isn't that the?
No, that's when you file your taxes. But I know what you mean.
Oh my
Whatever.
God, look at me. I'm gonna fail the tax exam.
Yeah, you are. But
I'm not gonna be a CPA. No,
whatever
I'm
it
just kidding.
is,
I
like
am gonna be a CPA, but
all that stuff is
yeah, you know, there's a form we fill out when you say 0 or 1 when you get a job, whatever that form is. I don't know. I'll figure it out in my study, but yeah, like all that's obviously like information. But that's sad then.
that's how you calculate for like so many people are on food stamps and all this other stuff. Like the
That's
reason
just
why
so
they are is
sad.
because that's the the income.
Yeah, 9,000. I can't imagine.
Yeah, because you have to take into account, like, I'm very well traveled in terms of traveling in the U.S. and I've seen a lot of poverty in all different types
Especially
of
in the
countries,
South.
especially in the
The
South,
South is sad.
where it's like it's not even a poverty that you would see in New York necessarily, where like it's poverty, but like
In the
you're in the
city.
projects, like you're still like in apartments, you're still there. I've been down south where people were living in like containers, like they were living in like sheds with no like plumbing. Like I've seen like some crazy stuff. Like I've been all over the country, and I always make sure that every state I go see the hood to give more appreciation, have a better perspective, because so many people just live on their block, they live in their city, they live in their street, and they
And
never
never see
travel.
anything
And even
like
people
that.
that do vacation, they vacation from where they're from, and then they go to like the islands, or they go to Miami, and then they go back. Like they don't go and see the rest of humanity.
That's the thing too. Like a lot of people, they go to the Caribbean but haven't even seen half their country. Like for me, I don't get that. Like that's why I don't know why people bash domestic travel, because there's so much to see in our country. There's so much,
I've seen a lot.
and it gives you more appreciation for like this is where you live. Like you literally almost did all 50 states. So now your next step is going to be all right. Let's do the Caribbean, let's do Europe, but like get to know your own country first. Like some people haven't even went down our own coastline. Like I feel
Yeah,
like everybody should do that trip at least. Drive down your coast from Florida to our state,
yeah, wherever.
but yeah,
That's why it is like
that's
that.
why that's not really shocking news when you have traveled obviously around the whole country. But it's just like but that's the bubble talking, being in your own bubble. Like obviously my scope is different. Like obviously I'm seeing my classmates that we went to school with. They had the same privilege as us to go to school and get a degree. So obviously they're doing well in life. And obviously my mom's circle of friends is doing well in life because she's doing well. So it's just us being in our bubble. But it's just sad because you really like
Don't loop me in there.
what?
I'll be knowing, because
No, but no, yeah,
you
maybe
take,
me,
because
not
it's
me.
not, it's like there's so many more things to it, because like you could work a job at like Quick Check up here in New Jersey and you make way more money than working at like the Piggly Wiggly in North Carolina,
Yeah,
where you're probably making the national minimum wage, which is $7. You might be making $20,000 a year. You assume like 10. I don't know what the tax percentage is at 20,000. I don't even know if you get taxed, but
20,000. I'm not sure. The tax percentage change every year.
yeah, it might be, you
It
might
just
come take
changed.
home 18,000 or something, but like you just see, so that simply like in all of those places
Yeah.
where there's not as much city, there's not these financial companies, you're making significantly less than money. It's really a crazy number, but it's easy to see how like that gap exists.
It's just sad too because like not everybody like you don't obviously none of us chose where or what we were born into. Like obviously I feel really like I don't know. I always think about it like I'm the fact that first of all the fact that we were born in the U.S. is like great odds in itself because a lot of other countries are really like desolate. But then being born like me, like being born in New York, like that's crazy because it's like wow of all the people I could have been born into. I mean, I know celebrities probably feel the same way. Like,
Yeah.
because like when you get, it's like, wait, why was I born into this body? But it just makes you have like a more appreciation for life. Because
Yeah.
obviously our opportunities are higher when you're living in the city that generates probably the highest income, one of the highest incomes in this country.
Yep.
Definitely up there with San Francisco.
The highest.
Yeah,
It is the
financial
number.
capital of the world.
It is
Honestly,
the number. Yeah, the number one in the world. But
and we work in finance, so
yeah. So
yeah,
it's a wild situation. I mean, she's nasty. So
yeah, like that's sick. Because like I said, when you're a certain age, you just don't even have an interest in that. Like that's
because
18-year-old is like literally fresh off high school. Like they're childish. They're probably very childish.
because
You're about to be 30.
if it's a guy, if it was a guy in that situation, we would say fuck that guy. So I mean, in this situation, I'm saying fuck her,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of nasty behavior,
Crazy. Oh, we gonna go to Cuomo?
we
No Cuomo.
no Cuomo.
No, that could be their title. No Cuomo.
Yeah, no Cuomo.
I mean, no, that could be our title. Nah, people are saying no Cuomo now. Like, if I touch you,
Nah,
like,
no Cuomo.
no Cuomo.
No Cuomo. No Cuomo. Which
Like,
is
hey, you look cute today. No, no Cuomo.
which is funny, but
No
not funny
Cuomo.
because
I
like
know.
it highlights just how sick. Like we were just saying, how women deal with the whole other side of life that men just take for granted. But I will say, before you jump in, and guys will talk about this, some women be like doing a lot,
Especially like the grouping.
the touching and
Yeah.
like the all that other stuff. Like
And they get away with it.
yeah, like it gets crazy. So it's like
I mean, I don't know Cuomo personally.
oh, you don't say you don't know the Combs.
I mean, I like him and his brother are cool. I think what he did for New York, he did a lot of great things. He handled the pandemic well, in my opinion. We live in Jersey, so obviously, we look to Governor Murphy, but obviously, New York at one point was the epicenter of the whole pandemic, to being like I think one of the most vaccinated states right now. So you gotta give him his props.
Everybody want to be outside.
And he's cool. Him and his brother are cool. And honestly, I don't know. I don't like to excuse people and like excuse victims. Like it's just a hard situation because it is scary out here. Like a lot of times people do lie and there are smear campaigns and like it could have been something. He was paid off. Like I mean, those girls were paid off to like take him down. But obviously, it's always best to believe the victim. But I will say, like with him saying how in Italian culture they're very touchy feely. But I don't know, some of the stories, like the girl was like, he put his hand down her spine, like all the way down her spine. That's a little weird. That's not being an Italian touchy feely. Because Italians, what they're known is just the kissing. Like I've experienced it myself, like the kissing on the cheek. Like.
But my thing though is like even because there's, I mean, if you want to talk about it, there's mad cultural differences between even me being as a black man going into the office where I wouldn't behave a certain way that I would behave in privately. Like even in the way that I'm speaking right now, I don't go in the office.
Code switching.
Yeah, like it's like a whole different thing. So like I can't say that Italians are like this and it's like that. Okay, that means that it's okay for me to go and touch people at work.
Yeah, because like
and then what was even crazier about that?
Even the kissing thing. I think that was like the thing they said. Like even the kissing thing is like I guess like I feel like that's really like if that's an Italian thing to you, I would hold that back for this family or like a close friend. So it's like I wouldn't really hold that for like you're a professional, and like if you're in that office, like you're a governor of like literally one of like the best states, like one of the most populated, one of the most important states in this country. A lot of eyes are on you, especially during this pandemic. So it's like when you're in a position like that, I feel you just have to be smart and you kind of like he just might have been in his element and felt comfortable, but the putting your finger down somebody's spine in the elevator, in the elevator too, like just like specifically in the private.
And to be clear, I have no issue with Italian culture whatsoever. Like a lot of like those like Italy and Spain, like they have like just a different culture, and that's perfectly fine.
Touchy feely, very lovey dovey.
No, honestly,
it's like 30 of them live in one house.
Honestly, I love it. Like the idea of family, all that stuff. Like I love it. But when you're in a professional setting, you got to act accordingly. Like I could never
That's true. Like you said, you can't really excuse it. Like imagine us going to work like, what
hugging
up?
people. Yeah, like you
Call
can't be
everybody
like,
N word. Like
oh,
what
gang,
up?
gang,
Yeah.
what's up?
Like you know when to shut
Like I'm
certain
not about to
things
go
off.
dap up the manager.
Yeah.
Like we're at work. Like let's keep it professional. And not only that, you're a politician, which I feel like you're held to even higher standard. Like, cause there's some places like when I was working at my previous job, we would go in there. It was like a frat house.
Yeah, and like a lot of these like newer tech companies like Google,
They're like that.
Facebook. Yeah. So but it's like
You
like me, I'm in a company that's 100-something years old. I'm not going in there acting a fool, even though things are kind of getting a little more casual as time goes on. But you kind of assimilate to your environment, and I'm sure in the political world, that's not
there ain't nobody like that.
not like that. I mean, it depends. You know, they be having their rich people parties, probably
Yeah, we don't.
wilding out, doing God knows what.
Yeah.
You know, we got the what's his face, Epstein.
Oh yeah. That
I mean,
that
it probably
was-
does get crazy.
It definitely gets crazy.
Bill Clinton and stuff.
And that's where like, God, I hate when we get on these topics because I could
We
just
keep
take
going.
it somewhere else. I'm about to take
Yeah.
it somewhere crazy. Because the thing is, I think that in the entertainment industry and politics and stuff like that, it's like, and I'm not speaking from my personal experience, but from what people have said and from how I interpret it, is that there's so many, and this is not by any means to put blame on women, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of women that are like with the shenanigans because they like men with status and money and power and all this other stuff. So that like these governors or politicians or entertainers, like they're able to get some sick stuff off with these women, but then they're unable to differentiate between somebody that's with all that and people that aren't. So then in their mind, and this is by no means trying to excuse it, but I think, but it's
They
like
think
my
everybody's down,
interpretation. They
basically.
think everybody is with it, and they think, oh, because I'm the governor, I can do all this. And I think that's like that's makes it even worse.
Yeah, but I mean, if he was smart though, you would know the history. Like I mean, maybe as the governor, he probably seen some sick stuff, and like, well, they got away with it. But as history shows, it never ends well. Like all these people girls end up always coming out, like always.
And I'm also gonna throw frat people under the bus because they're like that too. Where I've seen it where they're like,
my
oh,
God.
I'm this now. I'm not gonna put out any specific
Yeah.
people because we could put out specific orgs.
No, but yeah, people feel like because they like I've had my own line sisters tell me stories about like how guys.
oh,
come
but
up
I'm
to
a
them.
this.
I'm a Kappa. I'm Alpha.
I wasn't gonna throw any orgs,
My
but
bad.
YOLO.
I mean, I'm AK, so I could.
Let's just throw everybody under the bus.
But yeah, it's like I've had like my line sisters tell me stories all the time about stuff like that. Like, oh, like you don't want me? I'm Alpha though.
What that mean?
Okay.
And people feel like that entitled thing, but
you're still whack.
but that's where I wanted to preface what we were just saying before is like women live a whole different life that I would never experience. Like I've never had that type of advance or anything like that. Like where men can still experience similar things.
Yeah.
I've never had nobody tell me that.
Yeah.
Like they feel entitled to me because of whatever.
But the thing is though, that's where it's like where you saying how some women do go for guys say that purposefully. There are a lot of girls that treated frat guys like you've seen it.
Yeah, like celebrities.
I'm like, what is wrong with you girls? It's like weird.
And then
like
they
at
can't
every party, look at the cues. Look at the guy. I'm like, okay.
And then they can't differentiate between the two, which
That's
is
probably something crazy.
which is like a male issue still at the end of the day. But I just feel like this is again one of those situations.
But then it makes like I hate to blame a woman, but then it's like you gas these guys head up.
Nah, we can't put this on women with this situation.
Well, no. I'm talking about like at least with the frat example. Like women, some women are the ones that put in their head that you have to be this to get with me. Like you have to like a lot of women will set so many standards. Like okay, you have to be a Kappa. You gotta make this much. You gotta do this much. Like women will put so much like emphasis on status and titles and salary that a lot of men feel like once they get there, they're entitled to it. It's like I'm not blaming women. Like it's not, at the end of the day, men need to take accountability too. But I feel like we do sometimes feed into that like cycle. Because if we didn't put so much, if we have control. If we didn't put so much emphasis on that, men would feel like they could do anything to get us. But we put a lot of emphasis and pressure.
Luckily, we aren't a large podcast, so the pick me comments are gonna be.
I know. People call me a pick me all the time. When I'm like getting like YouTube comments or like TikTok or like Twitter comments that end up taking off, I'm a pick me. But like it's not a pick me to hold women accountable. Like this, like we're not perfect, and not everything is men's fault, and that's just my mindset. We're not perfect.
Well, I'm psycho, and I think that most things are men's fault.
Well,
Low key.
it's both. I feel like it's more so men's fault. Yes, a lot more issues in society are largely more so from men. But I just say women do kind of, you know, we do kind of affect things in certain ways too. With some of the things that we do and say, so we kind of feed into the nonsense and don't make things better.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought that it's kind of women's fault for gassing people. That's an interesting thought. I wouldn't have
I mean, it's
necessarily.
not our fault, but we feed into it.
Yeah,
Like some guys who feel like
I
that
see
them
what you
being a
mean.
kappa was gonna get them girls. Why do they feel that way?
Because
Because they've seen how girls act around them.
yeah,
So now they're like, ooh, well, once I get a kappa, I'm gonna get girls. Like we know somebody who like I'm not gonna say names, but like you feel like once they went Greek, they thought that was gonna be their way in. I mean, it didn't work.
and it
It
definitely
didn't
didn't
work.
work.
But a lot of guys do have that mindset, like, oh, once I,
No, you're still the same person,
you're
my
still
G.
the same weirdo. Like, not I'm not talking about him specifically. I just mean in general, like guys that were like,
I got letters.
yeah, like okay. But for a lot of girls, that does make a difference. Like, there is probably an extra level of attention that you're not used to, and like, you as a girl, you will be like in Snapchat or Instagram, like,
Yeah,
I'm with him. I'm with so and so now. Like all of a sudden you're cool with him because he got letters. Like there are a lot of girls like that. So that's just like girls do play into it a little bit. Like it's not our fault, but it is like we do kind of gas up a lot of people of status.
it's not
Like
your fault.
I
What do
mean,
you mean by that?
I mean like at the end of the day, it's still how you act as a person. Like saying I'm a so and so, so I should be entitled to you. That's still a man's fault, and he needs to learn on his own that that's wrong. But I'm saying like it's partially our fault that we gas up people for status and like we put an emphasis on status, like
That's like the interesting dynamic difference between men and women because you never see a guy that talks about a woman's status when he wants to.
which is crazy because I feel like a lot of men of status, they're usually like the women that they do end up actually settling down with
Has
and
way
marrying.
lower status.
That, but also they are kind of like they're not like bumps.
Yeah.
Like a lot of girls that these guys hook up with are anybody. But a lot of the girls that they like end up wanting the wife usually kind of like they don't have status, but they're kind of like
That's what you mean.
they're not bums.
Yeah, that's
So
what you mean.
girls will throw themselves at these guys and like thinking that they're gonna wife them. Like no, like
Gotcha.
guys really like you don't put an emphasis on it, but you do see the type of guys they wife. Like Jay-Z probably was out here acting a fool, but he wifed Beyonce. Like I don't know, you just see like
That's
like
what you mean.
Kanye and Kim. Like like Kanye could wife anybody, but he's gonna wife Kim like because she's got her money, she got her bag, like she's doing her thing. So I feel like guys don't really put emphasis on it as far as hooking up because I feel like guys just hook up with anybody who they can. If anything, they put more emphasis and the pressure on how your body looks.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like you said, they don't really set standards the same way girls do. Like I think you guys do, but there's no emphasis on it. Like you don't make it publicly known. Like, oh, I want a girl who's a manager at this company, or I want a girl that makes 6 figures or more. Like you guys don't pay as much of the emphasis.
Yeah, I think that.
But I think you guys want it still, but you just don't talk about it.
I don't even. You know what the funny part is? I don't even think most guys want that. I think that
Because they like the control
yeah, they like
aspect.
the control. They want to feel like the man. Like
Yeah. And don't feel less than. Because some guys don't like the girl making more money or being more successful.
yeah, so I don't. I think that guys actually, for the most part, would prefer women to not be of status.
True.
Men just simply want them to look good, and that's it.
Yeah. I would say I think body is like the main.
It's like the pretty much the only thing.
Yeah.
Never heard a man be like, "Yo, she got to make this much salary a year.
Yeah.
She got to
Yeah.
be manager of this."
Yeah.
Never heard it.
I mean, some guys do though. Like
Some
a lot
do.
of really high status males who aren't like insecure will want their wife to be like, oh, I want my wife to be on my level so we could be a power couple and we take over the world. Like I'm not taking care of no grown adult. Like we gonna take care of each other and we gonna like take over the world. Like, but it depends. Cause like, you have some men out there who are like lawyers and they're like, I want my wife to be a doctor. Like, oh, I want my wife to be a lawyer too. Like they like that power dynamic of being a power
Yeah, the
couple.
visual. Hmm.
But a lot of guys don't. They like the whole I don't care what my wife do. I'm gonna be the breadwinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to Quomes.
Yeah. yeah. But
that's
that's
what
what
I'm
we're talking
saying.
about. Cause we're talking
It
about his
goes all over the
status,
place.
his status as a
The
governor.
entitlement. Yeah. I mean,
and probably feeling like women will be desperate for like a job or something, so they'll be down to do it. Like,
And then you take people like Bill Clinton, for example, where like you see what was going on there, where it's like,
and it worked for him
and it
until she
worked.
snitched.
Yeah,
I mean, snitch sounds crazy.
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
wild. Yeah, that's wild.
that maybe that sounded like that was a bad thing. I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean she snitched, but like she kind of did
Yeah,
like
she spilled the beans.
yeah, which makes me wonder
What her intentions
what
were.
her intentions were, because like
Ooh, I got the president.
was there something you didn't get out of him, and that's why you decided to tell all? Because I feel like I don't know the whole story with that. Did she seduce him? Like, what was it? Did he?
I don't know.
I don't know the whole
I
story.
don't even want to talk about the intricacies of it, but I just mean to highlight like you see the politicians, like you're in these work scenarios with people traveling all the time. Like he's
They probably see some sick
yeah,
stuff.
because we were talking about this like with sales, like
Yeah.
the whole sales culture, like
When they
traveling
go on
all the
these
time and
business
all these
trips.
trips. The trips for those of you guys who aren't in business, it gets
It
filthy.
gets, I mean, even if you're not in business, I heard teachers be having their conferences. Like,
Oh
remember those
yeah,
conferences? Like, it would be teacher and service days.
yeah.
The teachers are out here wilding at their conferences. I've seen stuff from my own like line sisters and stuff, or like people who I know who are teachers, and they were like, these like conferences actually get crazy. Like, I heard teachers be getting down like nasty. Like,
That's disgusting.
ew. I don't even know what happened with any of my school teachers. In high
But I
school.
know sales is worse because like
No, yeah,
you go
because
into
it's more common.
yeah, you go into a conference in like Delaware or
Yeah.
like somewhere in wherever you're at. It's like simple. These people, like some of these business trips, you're overseas.
Miami,
You're like,
yeah.
it gets
My mom been to Miami like twice with business trips.
it gets nuts. Like
Chicago, Atlanta.
my last company was sending people to Aruba.
Yeah, especially in sales.
Yeah, sales is disgusting. It's turned
My
up.
mom has some stories with the pharmaceutical sale people. Like she was like those pictures that were coming out, and it's like some of the guys. Like I'm like, my mom was like, he got a wife, and he like
Yeah.
his arm, like the pictures that came out,
Around
his
the
arm was
waist.
on. It's like I don't even know. Yeah, it's some sick
But
stuff.
like this stuff is crazy, and it's like
Every industry where there's titles,
yeah, anywhere where there's some sort of status, it gets crazy.
like a
'Cause-
power dynamic.
and this goes for like the lower ranked men versus higher ranked women too. Like I don't think that and I don't. It's not even that I don't think. I know for a fact it's not specific even to men being of a higher status. It's women being of a higher status too. It's just that we know the cultural society perception is that men want it. And,
I mean, it's more common just because of the fact that men probably are still more in control. Even though I do feel like I be having all these stats that I don't even have like sources, but I do kind of feel like I remember hearing something about how there's like more CEO women now than men. I don't know,
nah,
or like the numbers were just rising. I don't think it's more.
yeah, it's not definitely not more.
But that's probably why we don't hear the stories because there's more so men in power. So.
Yeah,
But like I said, it does happen with women in power too.
yeah, because I've heard firsthand accounts from people that have experienced these things where it gets crazy. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, he's
I mean, at the end of the day,
you got to be held accountable for doing this shit. Like you have to. So
just don't do it.
I got another thing I want to talk about, like another thing about males, and hopefully this hasn't come across as like defensive or anything like that, because that's so far from the truth.
Yeah.
Me personally, there's like just a small handful of things that like make me super mad, like in life, like where like I get enraged. Like one of it is like people that are born with like physical disabilities that they have no control over. That shit like kills me inside. And then there's also like men that sexually harass or abuse women. Like yeah, I was gonna say something crazy, but I don't want to say it on camera. But yeah, that puts me in like a dark place when I hear these stories and stuff like that. So no matter what, like he's a nasty man. That shit needs to be corrected. Like men need to get some accountability. I don't believe in the whole cancel culture thing, but I do believe in accountability, and I think that hopefully these public lynchings that I would call them
Like
start to make people think and understand about the things that they do. But one of the problems is, and this is where it's like such a complex issue, is that for men, and I don't experience this personally because we've been in a relationship for so long, but at one point we were outside, but it makes it difficult to like know how to approach a woman, because so much of what we grew up on, like even when we were like middle school dances and stuff like that, like you go to the club, a woman's dancing, you jump on her, right? Like that was the whole thing. Like, and women like to, you have women that like men that take charge. So now it's like you feel like you got to be aggressive, and like they don't want somebody that's like soft, and it's like it makes it so hard to understand how to approach a woman. Like you don't want
Especially because you might come respectful. Like the example you made with the middle school dances. Like I remember like middle school dances was so cringe, but the guy
Hey,
that
come
tap.
here.
Ew, I remember that. And
Yeah,
then just do the whole.
I mean like
But
grinding, like
no,
people.
but I'm saying even if like as an adult, if you go to the club and tap and say, hey, like, can we dance? Some girls might take that well, like, oh, he was respectful, he asked. But some other girls would start snapping.
He touched
Like,
me.
yeah, who are you? Why are you touching me? Why are you tapping my friend? Like, it's just sad because some girls really, maybe they went through something and they're just very on the fence. Because obviously, I don't think anybody's just angry for no reason. But it's just like, I feel bad for guys because it really is like, for good guys out there who actually like,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
yeah, like the ones who overthink it so much that they probably end up just not doing anything.
Yeah, it's like
And now you missing out.
how do you approach a woman without being disrespectful or being
In this
accused of
culture now.
harassment or like it's just like I would imagine to be a very difficult thing because you don't want, especially when you're of status, like you don't want something to come out and it's like,
and you're like, whoa, like that's probably scary. That's why a lot of these guys outside, they say they do try to stay away from like.
and people signing
Girls.
NDAs now, like
Yeah.
it must be a sad life where you have to sign documents to even talk to somebody.
Yeah, like just taking you on a date. Because I was like, oh yeah, he took me on a date. He touched my thigh. It's like
He did this, he did that, and
like,
then
even the whole like when you walk past and you put the hand on the back. Like obviously, I think that is kind of like wild. Because why is your hand on my butt, basically? But it's like for some guys, they might have learned growing up that's respectful. But I mean, in some ways, it's kind of like you know what you're doing. Because that's like an erogenous zone. What's that word?
yeah, rockiness.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
because I've heard like like I said that should be like make me mad, but I've seen recently on Twitter there was a bunch of women talking about how they had that experience with teachers, like in school where they would like touch them and like I'm like, bro.
I mean, I've had like teachers that were weird that you kind of like creeped out by. Like we had this teacher, I think in 7th grade. I forgot what his name was, but people used to be like kind of creeped out by him. Like I did have some creepy teachers.
Yeah, but they'd be like, oh, hold them on the lower back, and it's like, bro,
Yeah, that is weird. Like, why are you touching your
don't touch me. Like,
Yeah.
and me being a male, like I don't care what, like don't touch me. I don't even
Some
know you.
teachers were a little too
The
friendly.
crazy part is like,
Ugh.
and I understand it, but like there's somebody like that does that at work, and it's like, it doesn't bother me, but it's like, all right.
And like it goes back down to, is that just your cultural thing?
I
'Cause
know
some
it's a
people-
cultural thing.
Some
but
people like touching is a human thing. Like touching is like what we're supposed to do, but it's like I don't know. You still, I feel like at the end of the day, you still have to have emotional intelligence. Not even emotional intelligence, but you just have to have like
Common sense.
awareness, social awareness. Like
Yeah.
not everybody was raised like you. Some people might be sexually abused, like they might be victims, and now you might be triggering them. Imagine you're at work and you're like this. Now that person having a flashback from maybe a teacher that like abused them, and that's what they used to do. Like you don't know what people go through. You can't just be so like I don't know, like
almost,
thinking about yourself, like kind of selfish.
yeah, almost careless. Like,
Like you're not even like aware of other people.
yeah, and like back to my point, like it must be very tough to try to navigate this whole thing because you got people on, especially when you see social media where you're like consuming so many different personalities and so many different things. Where you see like, I just saw 13 women on Twitter talk about how they're with all the shenanigans, but then
Yeah.
that,
Like girls would be like, I like when they are rough with me and they grab
they
me
choke
up.
me out, and it's like, okay, well now I think that's what I
Yeah.
got to do, and now you go choke
Now you're in
somebody
the
out.
club and you put your arm around her neck
Yeah,
and try to pull her close
and
to
now
you and she's
now you're getting
screaming.
arrested.
Yeah.
So that wasn't applicable necessarily to the Cuomo situation, but
It's just like a deeper issue that there's a lot of.
yeah, there's just a lot to talk about. But he's a nasty man. So any of these allegations and things, again, I don't believe in the cancel culture thing, but I do hold people. I do believe people should be held accountable. So if he did things that really hurt a person, then
It makes
you gotta
somebody
be held
feel
accountable.
uncomfortable. Yeah. It's just like, it's so much to unpack because it makes you like wonder what like if any what are women's intentions. Like did they just want to be held accountable? Did they wait because they were scared? Did they feel like it was a good time to attack? Like
I would like more.
I don't like victim blaming, so I don't want to make it sound like victim blaming. I just want to know like the mindset. I mean, I guess it's more so fear.
Yeah, I would. And they probably don't want the attention too.
Some of them, because some of them be out here writing books.
Oh yeah, for sure. They profit off of it.
Yeah,
But for
every talk show.
what I would consider to be true victims,
Yeah,
would be the people who probably don't want to be that person, because now the people that came out, your name is forever attached
Yeah.
to this,
You might not be able to do anything.
and that's legacy. Like, you talk about
Yeah.
anything ever, like what he like, especially if he would have got impeached if he had just resigned. Now your name is like in the history
tainted
books.
his whole. Well, not they did, but he did obviously tainted his whole career. But that's just.
But now your name is attached to it.
That's sad. Yeah, not. Mm-hmm.
Then it's like I would
like, can you imagine
that.
like Monica Lewinsky? Like, that name is really like.
It's like a
it rolls
slang.
off the tongue. It just sounds cool, like, because it's like it's just so ingrained in our society. And like, can you imagine being her? I would change my name. Like, you can't do anything. You go get a job, they're like, oh, my Lewinsky just applied. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean,
like you were saying. Oh wait, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, get him out the office. Like, you know, that's what it is. Just men stop being nasty, women stop being nasty, everybody stop being nasty. Ask questions, try to get consent, and that's really all you can do. Just be more upfront, because people are so sheltered, and they trying to, and that's where you get caught up too. It's like you're trying to figure out things, you're trying to put subtle like innuendos and things like that, and that's where it becomes creepy, especially if it's not wanted. But you could just say, hey.
Yeah, I think
I find you. I
think
find
you're
you
cute.
attractive.
I want to
like,
get to know you.
Blah
Like,
blah blah. And if they say no, then that's it. No means no. And
like, what are your limits? Like, what, do you mind like touching? Like, what do you want me to do? Like, stuff like that. I mean, it might feel
it's weird, but
it's weird,
it makes it way better.
Yeah. Like, I feel like people are so scared to be upfront these days. Like, just be honest and open. Like, it literally saves so much time
and people stuff. Need when people do that, they need to not be then killed.
Yeah.
For like being weird or like being deemed as weird. Yeah.
Like all these weird questions. Like,
it's like, no,
sad.
just be upfront.
It's so hard to do anything nowadays.
But that's the simplest thing. Like, yo, what are you with? What are you down for? Like, so many, even in our relationship, there's so many things where it's like, okay, what do you like? What do you not like?
Yeah.
What's this? What's that? Like, and then you figure it out.
You work from there.
And then you don't avoid these situations. And then you don't have this confusion, or like you always know where you stand with people, because we're so sheltered and never talk about anything. We are like the generation that don't know how to communicate at all. And these are the things that will stem from it, is a lot of unwanted attention, assaults, and things like that. I feel like a lot of these things, unfortunately, could be avoided if people spoke up. And because like even in scenarios, it's like women don't, in those situations, I know out of fear is most of the time, but and that's another thing we can address. But
then it makes you wonder, like, it's like, out of fear, but then
they end up saying it.
Yeah, but also like when it's not someone of status, what do you really do? Cause there's a lot of stuff that happens, but it's like you feel like, okay, why am I gonna go report that? Like, what am I gonna do? Like any small situation. Like, imagine, like, what is a girl really supposed to do?
I think that you should use what's available to you. If it really bothered you that much, will you stop over there fighting yourself?
Fendi
over there fighting himself.
Fendi? Stop biting your arm.
Stop biting your arm. Go back to sleep. I think that
He's so cute.
The measures that you should take to like respond to something should be the level of discomfort it made you feel. Like, if you felt like that touching like ruined your life, then you should act as if it ruined your life. Go file a police report. Go do these different things.
And
or if you felt like
held accountable.
or if you felt like it was weird, then you just simply want to tell the person and then remove yourself from the situation, then that's fine too. I think that
it just sucks. There's so many situations that people go through like every day, and it's just like they probably feel like it's not even worth to report. It's like, okay, it didn't really affect me, like whatever.
Yeah, because I know, obviously we're not gonna get into any specifics, but I know situations with you, like, and stuff that you've gone through where it's like there was no action taken at all.
Yeah, it's just like.
But it's still in your mind, like it still exists. It's still
it's not like actively in my mind. Like some stuff, like I'll randomly remember. I'm like I don't even think about it now because like we're talking about it. But like I haven't thought about it in years. Like it didn't affect me that bad. It was weird. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah,
but it was like.
But in those scenarios, like, if you felt like it was that crazy, then I don't think it's out of pocket to go report it to the police or like take some drastic measure, because I'm of the belief that
everybody should be accountable.
And people that rape people should die.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, because that's like a sick thing. Like
you're taking something from somebody that like they can't get back.
Mm-mm.
And I feel so strongly about it.
Yeah.
Not that I was, I didn't go through that,
That's why
but I put that on record because
and I
like that's how I
understand
really
like why
feel.
dads be going crazy like
Crazy.
in court,
Like you saw
especially
that
if they die too, they get killed.
that guy that I was just showing you where he killed his sister's rapist
Oh
in
yeah,
jail. Like that to me is
cause you know you grew up with that. You're like that's your sister. Like you
yeah.
grew
Like
up
nah,
where you know that she went through that. Like ugh.
we not doing that. And I don't believe in the cancel culture, but for real, like that's one of those things that I don't play about. Like yeah, uh, I yeah.
Yeah,
We'll leave it at that before I start
we
getting
gotta have to put a trigger warning.
yeah.
But yeah, it's so much to like. At the end of the day, people know what's right and what's wrong, and that's really all that matters. Especially when you're older. But it does make you wonder if some people might not know what's wrong. Like let's say like there's a guy who grew up being like assaulted by his like mom or like aunt, siblings or something, and didn't know it was wrong, and he went out into the world doing stuff that he just thought was normal. That's what he dealt with. Like that's why it's just sad because there's so much. There's just so many different variables with this. Like this could go. This could be a long conversation because there's just so many variables.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't expect for us to get to
I
here,
know.
but bottom line is he's nasty, and you know
Yeah, and
this won't be the
he
last
kind of knew
time.
what he was doing. Like I feel like he knew what he was doing. He was using his power and his position to his advantage and didn't think anything of it. He probably thought, "Ooh, maybe if I touch her back, maybe it'll
It'll
lead to
lead to
more.
something.
But if I didn't, I'm good.
And I'm not even
I'm in
familiar
the clear."
with if he's married or not.
That's what I'm thinking. I think isn't he married?
Yeah, that's even crazier.
Yeah.
Try to explain that to your wife.
Yeah, and I'm sure she's still gonna stick beside him.
Of course. But
And
yeah,
then he
so
got kids too. But
yeah.
yeah. Alrighty, well,
Hold up.
what?
I know I got wild transitions. I wanted to transition into everything smoothly. I was just thinking of transitions off the top of my head, but we were talking about like
Hot again.
yeah, super hot. I'm sweating. We were talking about baby moms and single parent households and things like
Yeah.
that. Did you see that the alleged text that Future sent his baby mom or
Yeah.
to his kid? How you feel?
Yeah.
How you feel about that?
I think
one?
it really was him. I searched the number too, and the number said free bands
That's
entertainment.
hilarious.
Like I said, when you search the number, that's what it came up as. Like clearly, it's connected to him. Clearly, and for him to try to lie, like I hate when people just be a cap. Like a lot of people they like to lie when they're clearly caught up in something. And I hate that. Just say, "All right, you caught me."
That's pretty. It's not funny, but like that's just wild. Like that's just
I literally searched it. It was like free band entertainment. 310 is I'm pretty sure it's in Atlanta area code. So I already knew. I'm like, that's him. Like you don't just get a number. Like where did she get the number from? And I think she made sure to show it too, so it was real. Like she was not stupid. She could
yeah,
have easily said like Future or Dad. I think it was Dad, and she made sure she unsaved the contact to show it.
yeah. She put out the full number because I saw
Yeah, the
I
full
was
number.
blocked out. Yeah.
No, I saw the full number. That's the one that first got posted.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean,
That's wild to say to your kid though. Like I don't care what issue you have with me as if I'm the child's mother. You don't like leave
and
the kid out of it.
and that's why we be having like damaged. Like,
Yeah.
all right, so I understand the Future meme thing. I'm not gonna sit here and be all holier than thou all the time. I understand the Future meme thing where it's like, oh, he's acts a certain way, he's this, like the whole
If people think
Future
it's
God
cool.
thing. To some extent, it's funny, but then at the same time, it's like we don't know how
Like
damaging.
he got all these kids and he's probably damaging them. That's why what's his name had to step in. Russell Wilson had to come in.
You said something?
No, I just mean like
Oh,
how
just
he
like the
treats
parent?
how he treats Ciara's son.
Yeah,
Like he said that's his son. Like that's my son too. Like Future used to be mad. There used to be a beef with them because like he would,
I know that.
you know, all the jokes like oh that's Russell's son now. Like that's
Yeah.
why you need somebody like that. Like thank God that he has Ciara and Russell.
Yeah, because like I said, it's jokes, it's funny,
Mm-hmm.
but like to a certain extent, we gotta be like, because then he tweeted out pray for her, and then he dropped the pray for
and
her
now you're trying to do the
t-shirts.
gaslighting. And it's just, like you're just doing the most now. I feel like people think it's funny, but there's no accountability. And I feel like especially like you see what the baby just went through. Where's the outrage for Future? Like why aren't celebrities coming in and be like he was wrong?
Because remember, it's only when it's people that you like.
Yeah, and it was cool. That's cool to hate the baby, but I guess it's just like this was such a damaging thing that the baby said. But I'm like, come on, there was celebrities speaking out about the baby, and where you guys at? Like, especially people who have Future's number, they know that's his number.
Yeah,
Like, come on, and you gonna make the girl seem like she's crazy, and let everybody get that off that she might be crazy and making it up.
you know, and this has had no no influence from Future himself. But like the wild part is that when I first saw that, I'm like, honestly, because we deal with some crazy baby moms, but we don't know if that's because of the male or not. But we just have the perception that they're just crazy, and sometimes they really are.
Yeah.
So because of that, when I first saw the text, I'm like, okay, she like made like a what's the text apps and stuff
Like
that they
texting herself.
yeah, like
Basically.
she texted like blah blah
Yeah.
just to get it off to like try to taint his image or something like that. That was my initial thought. But then I'm like,
Like, why
I've
would she
seen
do all
even
that?
wilder messages sent to like women and stuff like that. And it's like, you know what? Because again, it's jokes, but then it's not. Like, you can't be telling your kid that.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna be like, I don't have kids. I'm not gonna tell somebody how to parent. But like, come on,
Yeah.
you gotta do better than that. That's crazy.
Like, that's sick. It should never even get to that point.
And
Ever.
then you don't know what kind of effects that might have of his perception of women in the future.
Yeah,
And then
how he talks to them. Like, you just create this cycle. And it's like, why? Like, when you have the control to stop it.
and you know what's crazy too is that we'll say this and then somebody's gonna come and kill us for saying that.
Yeah.
Because we're like being too much of prudes. Like, it's funny. Like the future Hendrix.
That's not even being approved. Like, that's kids soak up everything. And you don't know how that's going to affect somebody.
Yeah, because like the future
And
tweets.
you're disrespecting your mom, though. Like, you're disrespecting the kid's
Yeah,
mom.
I would never do that.
Yeah.
Honestly, like not publicly. Like,
Cause then,
well, he didn't do it publicly.
yeah, but then what does that say to you now? Like, anybody could disrespect my mom, and like, you just gonna let them say stuff. You don't have classmates saying, "Oh, your mom's this," especially if they know who she is and they remember this. Oh, your mom's, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Cause Future said it. He's gonna sit there and just take it. It's like, oh well, if my dad said it, then yeah, it must be true. Like, that's sad.
Or they're gonna just grow up fighting everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's nasty for that. I don't care what issue you have. Take that up with the mom. Like, you're grown. Isn't he like 40, 50? Like, you're old. Like, stop. He gets on my nerves. And I'm about to stop supporting his music too. Cause I don't like people like that who don't get held accountable to, and he think he's cool now. He's about like, ooh, I won that.
He dropped the merch. The merch is crazy.
So whack.
But I was about to quickly transition since we're talking about again, since it's like our second week in a row talking about people being hypocritical.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the trend on Twitter of people trying to say "we still love you, Nikki" or whatever that trend was in reference to like the assault claims about her husband? How you feel about that?
People were saying they still love her. I didn't see that. It was trending.
No, it was like it's like "we still love you, Nikki" or something to kind of drown out the.
Like the barbs.
Because I think what happened was, didn't she drop the clip from the doc about abuse, like being abused?
I don't know if, like that's the thing. I don't know if she actually officially released it. Someone had to officially release it. But it'll be weird to me that she released specifically that part of the doc. But I think somehow people, like, I don't know how they got it, but somehow people got the Queen. It wasn't that Queen. I think is it called Queen? The documentary. I think the documentary is called Queen. I don't know. Nikki's documentary that's come out. Somehow a clip came out. Her talking about abusive relationship, but people assumed it was Meek. So you're saying she released it? I don't know how it came out.
Yeah, no matter how it came out, and I think that what I'm here. Let me. Yeah, the trend was "we love Nikki." Mm-hmm. So, and it's always tough talking about Nikki because the barbs be ready to smoke somebody. But basically, the story about the trend on Twitter is that the barbs got "we love you, Nikki" trending because of the video that came out, regardless of how it came out, and allegedly or supposedly that clip came out to try to distract the allegations or assault things.
That seemed random that clip came out. Like somebody on her PR team.
Yeah, that they were trying to use that to drown out the
and give
things.
her sympathy.
And it's like
she's a victim too.
Yeah, that she was a victim, but people are saying like if you're a victim, but then you married somebody that like whatever. So I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on that.
Well, I mean,
try not to get us canceled by the barbs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a barb. I'm not like a diehard barb. I've been a fan since 2010, 2009. Like I had a Barbie chain necklace. I had a bob.
Hold on. I was about to say me too, but I'm never saying I'm a barb.
Well,
I'm not saying
that's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna say I'm a barb because I think to be a barb you're extreme. Like you're the one beefing on the internet. Like
I'm just a grown man. I'm not calling myself a barb.
No, but I am like a really big fan. Like I always say my top 2 favorite artists ever is Nicki and Kanye. Those are the 2 people who I listened to all throughout high school and middle school that made me feel confident. Like those are my artists. Like when Monster came out, I was right there. Like those are my artists.
Yeah.
Nicki and Kanye, like forever. I love them. Like been a fan since both of them first came out. You know, so it's like hard because like I would hope none of us know these celebrities. That's the thing. We could love them and love their music, but we really don't know them deep down, like their deepest, darkest secrets and who they might really be at the core. And I feel like you would just hope she's not a bad person. And I always try to say, maybe what does she go through that might be the reason why she's, marries an abuser. Like maybe she's was abused, which I think she was actually. So me, I always emphasize that. I try to see where people's heads are at and why they are the way they are. But I don't know. Marrying, like, the thing is, we really don't know the truth. And like I said, I'm not a victim blamer, but I'm just all about proof. Like, I love proof, and I just need the proof. And there's like so much stories going around saying that like some of the girls like lied or something. I don't know, but and I mean, you have Nikki. It's Nikki. And if you have already a case against somebody, like you're gonna do whatever you can now to milk her for her money and do whatever, So it's kind of hard because when you have people who are like at such a high status, people will do anything to like get money off of them, clout, fame, whatever. But I say obviously you should always believe the victim unless there's proof that she was lying. And I think there was like a lot of proof. Like I don't know the full details, but I think there was a lot of proof. But apparently it was consensual, they were saying, and then she flipped the switch. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll say that I'm not familiar with the story at all.
I'm not familiar enough for me to really judge.
But was he convicted or is it just the accused?
I think he was actually. I think there's a mugshot and everything.
In that case, then I mean, I would assume that the courts. We know. Well, first of all, we know the court system is not designed for black people.
I think he's actually a registered sex offender.
Yeah. So the court system is not designed for black people. But me not being familiar with the case, I don't know what proof, what evidence, on what basis they.
I think there was DNA and everything.
But
then,
that's crazy.
I think, but that's what they were trying to say, that it was consensual.
But then she.
And then she tried to flip it.
And because she's the woman, okay.
But I don't know. It's so hard because there's a lot of women out there that do lie. That's why I get worried because we really don't know the truth.
And then we never know. It's like the girl who cried wolf, whatever the saying is.
And I hate victim blaming. I don't want to sound like I'm the type of person who don't believe women, but I just know how people are evil out here. But, I mean, there has to be some proof of Nikki trying to pay her off to just be quiet. But I could have still been Nikki saying, please stop, like, you're making up lies. He will give you money for you just to stop the lies. Or she really did. That's what the case.
She said that she paid.
Yeah, that's what's happening now. That the girl is suing Nikki and him because she said Nikki tried to pay her $500,000 to stay quiet.
So.
Yeah, that's when it gets kind of like.
So, the way this works, people, and why this looks horrible for Nikki is because anybody saying anything scandalous, accusatory, or things that are false or not real, there is a law built into our law system that prevents people from doing that, and that's called libel, 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 depending on how you want to pronounce it. So if TMZ reports that somebody did something and they're wrong, you can sue them and win pretty easily because most of these news systems and news outlets just report a whole bunch of shit that's going to get them clicks and views that isn't true, and then they never backtrack and they never correct anything and they're never held accountable because the people that are hurt by this the most of the time don't have the time, patience, or money to do anything about it. So that's the thing. So if she was really lying, she could have just sued her. Like Nikki could have just sued her and then she would have stopped. Like, but you
that's
paying.
That's what makes me wonder.
I know.
Was she not lying then?
Yeah, because then you trying to pay her off to be quiet now is like, was there truth in it?
And that's what makes me wonder. Like, does Nikki just not know? But she's so smart that I feel like she would know to sue her, to counter sue.
Yeah, you would think that she would know that exists, or her PR team.
Somebody off, that's sus.
Or when you're a superstar, you have a team full of people that should. I mean, I don't know what's worse. Like you have a team full of people that should know that shit, or
you have lawyers, you have.
Or it's true, and that's
and she really was trying to pay her off on the law.
That's kind of wild. And again, I don't read into like. I try to be up to date with like large issues, but like for the most part, I like try to stay away from celebrity stuff because I don't really care. But so I'm not really super familiar with this situation, but just based off of that information, that's kind of wild.
Yeah, and then obviously the story about her brother.
Yeah, I was gonna
his history too, so it just makes you wonder. if she was a victim herself, so she excused a lot. Like you know how like Ruby Rose, how she called the girls that Ian
Yeah.
that the girls that said they were raped by Ian Connor, she was like they were like attention seeking like hoes or whatever.
Yeah, but she herself
But
was.
she was a victim too,
Yeah.
and she might not realize that she's a victim, and so she thinks those girls are lying just because they are processing it different. Like I feel like maybe one day she'll realize, like, wow. Maybe
And
I feel like it takes for people to have kids of their own to realize. And maybe she has a younger sister, so maybe like
I always go back
so
and
it makes
forth.
you wonder like if Nikki's a victim too or something. I think she was, like I said, I think she was a victim when she was a kid, and like it makes you wonder if that's why she excuses people like her brother and like her husband.
And that's where it gets hard because it's like a constant tug of war because I've never been through those scenarios, so I can never even imagine what that feels like.
Yeah.
I'm not able to speak on it. I would never try to take that away from anybody because you, like I was just saying, my position on like on people that do those things, like you heard what I just feel like what should be done to them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, at what point do we hold people accountable, or like what amount of excuses can we allow people? Because it's like
Yeah.
the whole victim, like the bullying thing, like bullies bully people because they get bullied, and it's like, at what point do we hold people accountable for?
Like you can't always be
Yeah, like you
excused
can't
with
be like, oh, I did this because this happened, and it's like, okay, well, at what point, at what age, at what stage of your life do you ever do anything corrective? Do you go
yeah.
seek therapy? Do you like do anything?
It's like when parents beating their kids, it's like, well, I got beat, so I'm
Yeah,
traumatized.
it's
Well,
like,
but
bro,
you knew it was
you
wrong.
got beat 30, 40 years ago. It's
Yeah.
like, at what point do you grow up and like,
And know that's wrong.
and I can't say be dismissive and say get over it, but it's like, if you didn't even attempt to heal, or you didn't even attempt to talk about it, or like do anything
Yeah.
corrective, and you're still doing this now to other people, it's like, I don't feel bad for, like, I don't pity people that bully people because they got bullied. Like, I
Yeah.
don't feel anything for you. Like, you got bullied, it's life.
Like if
Like, life
anything,
is
you
not
know how
easy.
it feels. So why are you doing it to somebody else?
Yeah, so with that whole thing, it's like, I can never speak on it but from my perspective, it's like there has to be some sort of, at some point, some accountability or something.
Yeah.
Like get some help.
It just sucks.
And it's
This
easier
is a
said than
bad
done.
situation because I think the thing that happened too with him was years ago. Like not saying that is any better, but he might be a better person now. You know. I mean, I don't know. I feel like none of those things are mistakes. Like assaulting somebody is not a mistake. But
Yeah.
it makes you wonder, like, if somebody does something like that, are they just done? Like, should everybody banish them? Should they never have a chance to find love and have? Can now they have a kid? Like, should they never have the chance to be able to do all those things because of like a past situation, like with something as extreme as assault and rape? Like,
No, I think that you should, you can still do whatever you want. I just think that,
you kind of got to accept what comes with it, and the people who marry them have to accept it too.
yeah.
But it makes you wonder, like, I don't know, like, are the women really okay with it, or do they think they're okay with it?
Like where their head was at when the assaults happened.
Even though the assaults could happen, obviously, I think this thing happened before. Well, Nikki apparently knew him forever. Like they dated, I think, like in high school or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if they like end up losing contact. Maybe when that stuff was going on. I don't know. I'm not sure all the details, but
Yeah. But speak to
it's a hard situation.
yeah, speak to the hypocrisy.
But like how
Speak to it because
barbers are
we're
hypocrites. You think?
I like just, well, for sure,
Oh,
because
because they're saying they support her.
they were just killing Meek
Yeah,
2 days ago.
yeah.
And then
I mean,
now
I guess
they're
Nikki herself didn't do anything, so maybe that's why they're not coming at Nikki. But I mean, if paying somebody off, you're still That's,
yeah, like you're paying off a victim, like that's crazy.
and you're a victim yourself of your own form of abuse.
That's crazy.
And your mom's a victim too, because that's what she was saying in the clip.
Like you're paying somebody, you're basically saying take this and shut up.
Yeah. And that's not good.
And whether it really happened or not is like,
It's just not a good
regardless,
look. Yeah.
what happened, like that was your response to it.
Yeah.
So I just think it's hypocritical.
It is.
No, it's very.
It's the same thing with the whole Rihanna being a billionaire and her
Yeah, no.
fans, supporting that, but hating. But a lot of them hate billionaires.
Yeah, honestly, I'm sure I'll get killed for my take by the barbs, and you know what? That's okay, but that is also not okay because that's the same reason why people get to continue to do like these sorts of things. This is why people continue to get abused because like
Nobody's nobody's held
people,
accountable.
yeah, people are hypocritical, and that doesn't mean that Nicki should be canceled. It just means like let your let's all be consistent. Like that's my whole thing. Like I like to have, if you have an extreme thought or you feel a certain way, have that all the way. Like don't move the goalposts based on things that you like and things that you don't like. Like if person A abused person B over here, then person C abused person D over here. You should feel the same way about it, no matter what the circumstances or what the scenario is. Like that's just what it should be. Like I'm very principled. Like I hate. I think that everybody is hypocritical for certain things, but like I'm very principled. Like if there's, I could never backtrack. Like I can never be like, oh, this is crazy. Like you did this, you did that, and then backtrack and then be like, oh, but you know it's okay because this blah blah blah, or you made the pink print, so it's okay. Like that's crazy.
Cause then it makes you basically like the R. Kelly fans.
Yeah, that will still. I don't care what the video did. Let me still.
Like,
it's
like
like
the name of love is still my song.
Yeah, it's like all right, bro. Like,
I mean, it is hard though because it's like
it's not hard.
No, but I'm saying it sucks when like people who do some bad things really do make good music. Like their talent is undeniable and their songs are like great. But I feel like I don't know, it's hard. You feel like you can still enjoy the songs of people who did things really bad, and knowing that you still don't support them as a person, but you still like respect their talent.
I think it depends what they did, but
like R. Kelly did some sick stuff. So how could you? But it just sucks that his music is good.
I mean, it depends what your principles are. Like if you're, I was about to say something wild. If it was your, I was about to be way too graphic for the for YouTube at least, but if that was your child that was abused in the video, then you would have a different perception. So it's like
that's true. Now you're not gonna want to listen to that. You're not gonna want to listen to the voice of the guy who did some sick stuff to a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's not just the one girl. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of them, and it's boys too, apparently.
And it's like, to me, it's like, all right, the song isn't like the song is good, but it's not good. Like okay, you can get off whatever you want, and then it's perfectly fine.
And you still making money off of it with his estate and everything. I mean, I feel like you could appreciate the music and just leave it behind you. Like you don't necessarily have to listen to it again. Be like, all right, yeah, he made good music, but he was a sick person, and it's a shame because your legacy could have been great but then it goes back to. Did you watch the R. Kelly documentary that came out? I watched all that stuff. They broke down his childhood, and like he was like abused a lot.
I heard about that.
Like by like I think like a cousin, like when he was really young. So
I think the brother too, right?
Mm-hmm. So that's when it goes back to the whole. But then your point, it was wrong, and you were a victim of it. So why are you going to do it to someone else?
And at what point do we hold people like?
Mm-hmm. At one point, it's like, all right, that's not an excuse anymore. Okay, yeah, you were abused, and that means abuse other people. Yeah, okay, no.
Yeah, no, it's not how it works.
But I'm just nice. So I just had to understand why people are the way they are. But
yeah, and it just
leads down. Don't do it to someone else.
Yeah, it leads down a crazy path. But it's definitely a lot of hypocrisy, and I would just wish that people look at the facts, look at things, and not just because somebody made an album or song that you like that you ignore some of the crazy behaviors. But to a large degree, I would even talk about, because I said how everybody's a hypocrite. I don't believe or condone in a lot of violence and gun violence in our communities, but I listen to a lot of music that contains those things, and we'll be rapping the lyrics like Big 38 gonna hawk 'em, which is crazy. But like, so it's
I'd be like throwing them guns, like, but then at the same time, it's like
we gotta stop.
Chicago, like, look at this is sick. Like Atlanta, look at all this stuff's going on. Like, but I mean, then that starts the conversation about separating like the artist from the art or the artist from the music. Like, is there a way that we can know that it's just like that's our quote unquote culture, like the violence stuff, but like not necessarily participate in it? Like, when you're rapping that music, that like you're kind of rapping about something that's like bad, but you're not actively participating in it.
I think that like with that specifically, it depends how it's done. Like when you,
Yeah.
because there's rappers that talk about the hood and gang violence, and again, I'm not from there, not nowhere close to it. I never even seen it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of rappers that will talk about that stuff, and there's a difference between speaking about it and glorifying it. Like there's some people that will break down the full components of the gun and be like, I
Yeah.
put the big mag and this, and I had the drum on the
Yeah.
this, and you have the people that rap like that. Like that, I think is problematic, even though the beats are hard. So like,
Yeah.
you know.
But it's like that's all you're talking about.
But then you have people like Kendrick who made "Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst," and that song is about gun violence. But he's sitting there telling the story from his friend's brother
Yeah.
got killed, and he's like rapping from his friend's brother's
Like
perspective about gun violence and all this other stuff. And
yeah.
that's talking about guns and shooting people, and like he put gunshots like in the song before that to lead into this song or something to that effect. Good Kid, Mad City, masterpiece. But but that's talking about it without glorifying it. But some people do glorify it, so you know.
Yeah.
But nobody ever glorified assault,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. So to that degree, it's not hypocritical because nobody ever glorified assault, and we still go listen to their music.
Yeah.
So you know, I just think that people should not give people a pass because they did something that they
Yeah.
liked, and
Yeah.
it sucks
It
because
sucks because it's like you see it happen so many times. Like so many celebrities' legacies get tainted with stuff like this, and it's like it
Like-
just sucks because you love them so much and they did so much for you with their music, and you're like, why'd you have to do this and then kind of mess up your image? Like,
yeah, and I'm you know, I'm shooting 100% from the free throw line with my transitions, but like even Kanye with the whole MAGA thing, like
yeah,
I was anti Kanye during that time because it looked like it was over. It looked like we would
I
never.
wasn't. I knew there was a reasoning. Like I could just. I hate to be one of those Kanye fans because everybody's like,
Everybody excuses
like when they
everything
when,
that he
no
does.
no not even that, but like when they said like Kanye's gonna release that album, that's like an empty CD, and like the Kanye fans are gonna sit there and be like, I hear it. Like I feel like I'm one of those fans.
I'm not.
But I just feel like I just understood what like I did see that there was a mental health deterioration and that he was going through something, but I do feel like I like his ideas and he's very eccentric and like he likes to do things different. I just feel like the execution wasn't that great because like the way Kanye is, like you could tell in his interviews, he's always been like that. He can't necessarily get his thoughts out the way he wants to. Like I feel like he needs like a notebook and like for somebody to like compile all his thoughts and organize it. I feel like still feel like with that situation, what he was trying to do was he was trying to help in some ways, like by trying to like appease, to Trump and like feed Trump's ego. And I feel like he did want to just be different wearing the hat, and just be like, but I just feel like it was just the wrong person to do that on. Like if anything, he could have did a different Republican candidate. Like he could have did it with Bush or like McCain or something like.
Yeah.
I don't think Trump was the best person to use for whatever this social experiment was.
We still don't know what it was, to be honest.
Yeah, because it could have been he really was trying to help to get people out, like the whole Larry Hoover thing, or it could have just been a mental health deterioration, or it really could have just been him saying like, I want to see how people would react, like a social experiment. Like I want to see how people would switch up on me.
I really
by
hope it's
wearing
not
this
that.
hat.
I really hope it's not that.
You just don't know about Kanye, but for me, I never seen any malicious intent. That's what I never seen any malicious intent behind it. Especially people still trying to twist the whole slavery was a choice thing when he literally explained what he meant, like that it was mental slavery. Like even now today, Black people we still do things. Like we still do things that make us mentally a slave. Like we still do a lot of stupid stuff. And he didn't people think that he literally meant that like the slaves were like, all right, chain me up, put me in the boat. Like I hate people who can't critically think. That's not what he was trying to say at all. And he did explain it. But yeah. I never gave up on Kanye though, because I just had faith.
That was the only thing in that whole MAGA time that I'm glad he said, but people still don't understand it, which is unfortunate. But
What?
I think even Harriet said that she could have freed
Yeah,
more
she could
people.
have. He literally he quoted that.
Yeah.
I would have freed a lot more slaves if they weren't like mentally enslaved.
Because for people that don't know, or at least haven't heard or done the research about it,
Yeah,
there were a lot of slaves that were born into slavery. So when they grew up, they were kids, and all they
That's
ever
all they
knew
knew.
was slavery. So when they looked at white people as like the providers for them, and they were
Mm-hmm.
giving them the opportunity, they didn't know anything else. So then
Yeah.
that's where you get like the quote unquote Uncle Toms that were like trying to appease to them, but that's all they knew.
Oh, yeah.
And when she was like, "Yo, let's get out of here," they're like,
They
"Why?"
didn't even know because they were so mentally enslaved,
Trapped.
and that's what he was trying to say. He's talking about that time and this time. He was just making a comparison that any type of slavery, in some ways, is like mental slavery is a choice. Like you choose to go buy all that designer from a brand that's racist.
Mm-hmm.
Like Gucci did
Because
all
you,
that blackface stuff, but you still chose, or either one to go buy it and wear the brand when you know the founders probably don't even like you.
not
That's
even
mental
probably,
slavery.
they 99% of the time don't.
Yeah,
Like they don't make the clothes for us. That's why
like
none of us are in their shows.
even like you take something like Justin LeBoy in the Shade Room. I still like go to the page and I still find some of the stuff entertaining, but I'm sort of deep thinker that I know is detrimental to our community. And sometimes I guess I do still feed into it, but the way you see so many people in like Justin LeBoy's comments, like yes, yes, like that's mental slavery. Like us as a people, we look crazy. Like it's just so sheepish and scary. Like people really feed into like a lot of this stuff, and it's just like,
I'm gonna probably get killed for it, but it's the same way I feel about like Oprah and Tyler Perry.
well, that's funny because I actually had Oprah on the list about how we was gonna talk about Oprah. I mean, you could talk about what you want to talk about, and then we could go into Oprah and her talk show and how it
No,
was toxic.
let's go into Oprah first. I don't think that we'll go because I had another Kanye topic, but I think that because we're on a roll here, we'll just keep going with Oprah, and maybe we'll go back to the other one later.
Yeah,
But yeah, speaking of like the things that are detrimental to our communities and stuff
yeah,
like
it's
that,
Oprah.
it's like we need to look at some of our forms of entertainment because, like,
Yeah,
to me, and I may get killed for this, and that's okay. We're not a large podcast, so
I
you know,
know we might not,
I'm not gonna get destroyed, and I would
we
never
never
try
know.
to like demean or downplay another successful black man, but to a large degree, a lot of Tyler Perry's movies and entertainment and stuff like that is like,
Like stereotypical
yeah, it's
almost.
like embracing or like portraying stereotypical black things,
Like he
which
literally has a movie called The Diary of a
mad
Mad
black,
Black Woman.
yeah,
Like I was a kid, I used to. I mean, I watched all the movies and I enjoyed them, but now you see, we literally like make a mockery out of them now. Like a lot of our people in our community, because we kind of like woke up in some ways. Like all these stories, the same storyline.
like even with stuff like Medea, it's almost like it's crazy. But the thing is with like the Medea things and all these things, I don't know if they're supposed to be parodies of
I
the black
know.
community or if it's like literally trying to portray what black community is like.
Because it's hard because we do have stereotypes, but in a way, like
And they
a
may
lot
be
of these
true.
things are like the way that he acts in the movie is how we act, and sometimes like it is a comfort thing to watch a movie like that because you feel relatable. Like, oh yeah, my grandma's like Medea. Like, it's just hard. It's a hard thing because it's like, when does it become too much? I think that's what the issue is.
Yeah.
Like all his movies were kind of like that
That same exact
same element, and
storyline.
it's like, can we see like us in a more positive light? Because yeah, like as these stereotypes may be true about a lot of black people, there are also like another group of black people who are different. There's people who grew up in LA, like they're West Coast black people, and they act completely different than Southern black people. You have people who grew up in LA and they act completely different, you know, than a lot of us. And like a lot of black people are from the South and like migrated north because, you know, that's just slavery, it's just a natural root of everything. But there are large people that migrated west and they might act different. Their eyes might be different, their accents are different. So it's like we should see other representations. It's like, can we see like a family that's not fighting? Can we see like a family where it's not a deadbeat dad? Like, and I mean, I guess that was part of his storylines. Like you had that man that comes in and saves the day, and but
Yeah.
he obviously was detrimental. Right? I mean, I don't think he was detrimental, but yeah, when you have stuff like that, like especially when you have somebody like Tyler Perry who's kind of like respected, I guess, among white people, like that's when it gets bad because it's like that's what they're seeing, you know. So that's more still pushing that stereotype. They already feel how they feel about us, and then that pushes that stereotype. Because I don't know if I told you this, but like it's like a lot of like stuff that you realize when you're older, like that was bad. But I had a friend who was a white friend from high school, and I think this was in middle school or high school, and it was me, her, and then you know the other girl that we were friends with. It was 3 of us, and she was white. Obviously, she's white, and she dressed up as Big Mama for Halloween. I told you about this, and I didn't tell you about this, and she literally painted her face brown, and we were so young that I didn't even realize. And the craziest thing is, we were like on a block, like around the corner, and like it was like a black family, like, and you could tell they were kind of like, but they were like, "Who are you supposed to be?" It was like very sarcastic. It's so cringe.
Yeah.
And my mom had a picture of it and everything. I think my mom took it. My mom had, like, we were all so naive and dumb. My mom posted on Facebook, and some of her friends from like Brooklyn were like, "You might want to take this down." I don't know if I told you about that. So he's like, yikes. First of all, that's a lot to unpack, because it's like, what were the parents thinking? At the end of the day, her parents are the biggest ones at fault. Like, what was you doing? Like, it's a lot of stuff that I realized. I'm like, geez, like, no wonder why I'm not cool with these people no more, because like, but it's like, yeah, you have stuff like that, but it's like, where does she get the inspiration from? You know, maybe it's because her friends were black, like, you know, me and what's her face? We were like, was it because your friends are black? Like, all her friends basically were black. Is it because you do watch movies like Big Mama and Medea, so that's your perception of black people, and you feel comfortable dressing up like that because you just feel like, oh, you know, so many movies, like, that's just how I see them. So, you know, it's not offensive, you know?
Yeah.
So it does make you wonder, like, if his influence is negative in that aspect, where it's like a white America and just white anybody, foreigners see black Americans a certain way.
Yeah, and that's like my two gripes with like his media. First of all, let me give some flowers before.
Yeah, we gotta give him his
First and
flowers.
foremost, he's employed a lot of people. I think what he just did with the woman that posted on the billboard. I don't know if you heard about this. She posted on a billboard a picture of her, and the caption was, "Tyler Perry, I'm your next leading woman," or something to that
Yeah.
effect. And
And he actually
then
did
he
it.
actually
Wow.
did it.
And, you know, obviously his studio.
His studio was crazy.
Yeah, like, no, who's doing that?
Down there
Especially
building
black.
down there building Wakanda.
Yeah, like, that's, you know, you gotta give him his flowers.
And I hate to then kick his back in, but my thing is, like, it's just very telling that he's like our number one movie television producer is like him, and then the content that he makes under his like network and just stuff that he's written directly is very telling as to what the content is, and that the fact that he's like the
He's
biggest
profiting off of it, and he knows it.
Yeah. And then the other thing is that there's so many other things. Like, why is there like where is just the regular sort of like movie or television show? Like, why is everything such a like a parody feel, or like
Yeah.
like everything feels like,
Especially when it comes to like the black males dressing up as a woman.
yeah,
But
like,
that, like,
where's like
with the authentic realness.
and it's not to me that like our culture is just something that can't be matched, and I hate to sound like, oh, why aren't we like them? But it's like, where is just the regular show or something
Like why can't we just see how we are regularly? Like,
or but not even that, why is there such a focus on, like, so for example, Martin, loved that show, classic show, like black culture, community,
yeah,
wasn't even a parody feeling, like it just felt like
that's like a family.
yeah, like that's
you know
how
them. Yeah,
that's how it was. But aside from that, like I don't think anybody could do another one of those better. But I mean, like, you have like In Living Color and stuff like that, so those are all great shows.
and like Cosby Show.
Yeah,
You know,
phenomenal.
You know, Bill Cosby, obviously.
But like, where's just the regular TV? Like, why can't there be like, because there can be a successful black person in media, but not everything on TV is centered around black people. Like, for example, you take a show like random, I'm just off the top of my head, Storage Wars, where they buy and sell, buy storage
Or
containers.
like the flip or flop.
Yeah, like, where's like that? Like, where's the black person that owns that show?
When we have shows on
They're
TV,
all the
it's
same.
reality shows, which is bad.
We got Bad Girls Club. And,
and Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like,
we
that's
got
just
Medea.
further pushing the stereotypes.
Yeah, so, and I don't even care about this. Like, well, I do care about the stereotypes, but aside from the stereotypes, it's like, where's the creativity? Like, we're so much better than that. Like, we limiting ourselves.
I mean, that's why I appreciate people like Jordan Peele, because he's showing his creativity side. Like, I mean, like, I mean, I guess like the genres and like the themes of his movies are still based on like, around like black trauma and white people, but I feel like he's just doing it in the right way. And like I would hope that maybe eventually, like I'm interested to see what this new movie is about that's coming out soon. I don't know if you saw like the promo.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a video, but it was just like a cloud. It was something weird, like this, like the picture. I think it's called like Run or something. What's it called? It's like a one word, like Nope. I think it's called Nope. Nope.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what that's about. So I'm happy that he's kind of at least like changing things. Like he's showing like his creativity. We're getting to see that he's getting his flowers in real time. So I just hope we just get more people like that. Like I feel like he got the horror industry on lock, the horror like suspense industry on lock. And I would just hope we would get somebody else like you said like. Can we be on Flip and Flop? Like, let's see black people flipping houses. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of black people out there doing that. So get them a show.
But to me, it's not even like that. Like it's not even just the black representation, but like where's the ownership of like different shit? Like it doesn't have to be black people flipping houses. Like
Yeah.
where's just the black people that own the show of people flipping houses?
Yeah.
And we don't have that.
Isn't if we ever get to that point, which I would hope we do eventually, because that kind of goes with one of the other topics about how like the population is changing, like America is becoming very multicultural. So I would hope maybe one day we will get to that point.
Because that's what makes the real money. Like it's not like if we care about money, but just aside from that, it's just like we need more. We do need more. We need to own more stuff.
Yeah. Because once you own more stuff, then you kind of create the narrative. Like there's people who are up at the top that have the creative control actually of the show. They're the ones that are directing it and producing it. So they have a say in a lot of stuff. And if we're up there, then that, we will create our own narrative for how we want to be represented.
Yeah, like what I mean, like to even further, like the other podcast we were talking about, I'm never gonna remember the actual numbers, but I was talking about the Weather Channel and Byron Allen purchasing it for 300 million. Where is that at? Like,
and we talked about this in the last podcast. Like so many of the like black entertainers and just rich people, business owners could all get together and like change our whole race. Like, maybe not the whole race, but could make a lot of big strides for us. Like at least as far as how we're represented. I mean, I feel like things are changing. Like our culture is really the most like duplicated. Oh my gosh, that dog crying.
yeah,
Our culture is obviously the most duplicated and recognized worldwide. Everybody's like into streetwear and hip hop and Av. But it's like I think I just want people to know there's more to us than that. Like we're not just the entertainment, because that's how it's like the same thing from like back in slavery, like the mammy characters. Like I feel like even now it's like modern day version of that,
yeah,
like with the Av and the TikTok dances. Like people might appreciate us and like idolize us, but still, and I see us as a form of entertainment. Like we'll still never be more than that to them.
yeah, and that is very true. But like, it's not even so much about our like that. I want to be made clear. My perception and idea of Tyler Perry is not nothing, but it's mostly not because of how I feel like he's portraying us to other races. It's more so just like, all right, like you can do more than that. Like you can like don't regurgitate the same stuff over and over again. And I know that our culture gets held to a higher standard because other cultures can put out a whole lot of mid and like do astronomical numbers, but we have to make the greatest thing ever seen.
Yeah, because people say how like Friends is kind of mid, but it's gassed up.
Yeah. So like that I understand, but it's just like, all right, like let's grow outside of that. We're better than just let me show like a crazy family internally. And it's not like other cultures don't do that, but it's like how many times are we gonna do that?
Yeah, how many times is gonna be the black grandma yelling and the wife and husband fighting and getting a divorce and the kids growing up messed up? Like how many times we're gonna get that same storyline? Like it's kind of played.
Yeah, like give us something else. Like give us something like give us like a black game show or like, but and again, it's not black represented game show. It's black owned game show.
I mean, it's cool to see like at least like Family Feud, like how at least we got Steve Harvey as like the face of it.
Yeah, but that's all we ever are.
Yeah, he's just a face. There's
because
a lot of puppet stuff going on behind the scenes.
BET's owned by white people.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like, and it could be the other way around. Black people can Black people can own some white content too, or other cultural content, or things like where's the black owned news station? Like where's any of these things? And I hate to sound like this because it's like
I mean,
I haven't done that. I don't know.
and also the whole 400 years ahead. Like obviously we're still behind in the race, but it's getting to the
but
point now where a lot of people are catching up so much that we could do those things, but so many people aren't. They're using that money to buy cars and chains
and things that we're entertained by in our culture is just very telling. Just like how we were talking about last podcast, how the things that you brag about are very telling. The things that entertain us are also very telling.
yeah.
And the fact that
I was saying like the Shade Room, for example, the fact that I entertained so many people.
20,
like,
I just was on there, 24 million followers. I don't know
and
if I
I
obviously follow
check
them.
the page randomly just to kind of it does help you get to be involved, like knowing what's going on at least. But it's so many people are like so enveloped into the page, like they're literally like feeding for the what's the new stuff and like what's the next shade, like what can we who can we break down next in our culture, who can we cancel next, like who can we laugh about.
Yeah.
And like you said, the fact that what things that we find entertaining are sad.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna sit here and just tear
Yeah.
into us, but just real quickly because you wanted to talk about
Oprah.
Oprah.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to stay on this long because I wanted to keep this
I know.
pod a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
But
we
yeah.
basically want to talk about like how she kind of pushed that whole toxic single woman, like single mom culture, and how her daytime like show, low key, like daytime TV, and like her specifically created a huge cultural shift among like women
Yeah,
from like in the
and not even
the
just black women.
90s and 2000s, like not just black women, just women in general. And I feel like she created all the toxic moms that raised a lot of us. Not me personally, because my mom is married literally almost 25 years. So my mom wasn't really, I mean, she watched the stuff, but she worked too, so she wasn't even like the target audience. Like, this is like daytime TV, prime time, 12 o'clock. Like my mom was at work. And when me and my sisters were kids, she didn't work in the beginning. When we were young, she just raised us. But I just mean like a lot of our peers, a lot of people our age, were raised by moms that literally fiend to watch Oprah every day. And yeah, I just feel like she created a whole toxic generation that's passing down those traits to their daughters. The whole I hate men are trash. I think all that starts like roots from Oprah. And like women all coming together and feeling like it's how do you say that? Camaraderie?
You got it.
Camaraderie. I don't know. Well, like, I think that's the intent behind it. I don't think Oprah meant to be like this. I think her intent was to get women together and like knowing that all the women are home right now at 12 o'clock in the afternoon and we're just going to chat. But I think it did create a culture of like women feeling like empowerment, which is fine. But the whole men are trash and I'm an independent woman, I don't need no man. I think it created that whole like mindset, and that's got passed down to so many of like our fellow 24, 25-year-olds.
Yeah, and this is transitioned into even the women empowerment currently, where it's like it's like the I liken it to the whole pro-black is not anti-white.
Yeah.
It's like pro-women became anti-men.
Yeah, which is sick. It's like everything is men this, men that. I hate men. Men did this, men did that. Men needed this, men did that. It's like it just became so toxic where a lot of women, that's really like their whole life. It's just hating men. Like I know so many people who have single moms and like you could see it about passed down to them. Like, oh my God, you're kind of like just like your mom. Like you're just as miserable. You hate men just as much as your mom did. All your mom did growing up was complaining to you about your dad. And,
who probably wasn't even the problem.
Probably not. But now you think all men are this because your mom said so. And that's all you were raised around. And then now your mom's sitting there while you're at school watching Oprah and feeding more into that mindset.
And then it's the complaint. For me, it's like the complaints about men. Men are trash, men are this or men are that. But then men need to get you a Birkin, men need to do this, men need to do that. So it's like
men need to pay the bills.
And if they don't,
then if they don't, they're trash again.
It's crazy. It's just a wild culture, but it definitely
toxic.
Came specifically from that whole Oprah culture and art. the
It's
parents of people our age
yeah.
grew up on that, and it's just transitioned down, and now it's ballooned into something completely different with
Now it's women want everything.
yeah.
They want to be independent, but they want a man to take care of them. They want traditional values, but they don't want to cook and clean for their man. But they want the man to pay the bills. I'm like, so do you want to be a traditional woman or you don't? Because what
Okay, Kevin
court?
Samuels. All right, calm down.
Shut
Getting your
up.
Samuels back.
I know they people probably if people really be listening to all this info, they probably like
Pick
she
me.
doesn't pick me. She hate women. No, but it's like I just like I said this in my video on my channel. Like I can understand if you want a man to pay the bills, if that's your thing and you grew up on that, but you have to be willing to match the women that were doing that. Like you was like, oh, my grandpa paid all the way for my grandma. What was your grandma doing though? Your grandma was at home cooking, cleaning, washing the laundry, folding the laundry, laying up whenever your grandpa wanted, anything, not talking back. That's what she was doing. You can't say I want a man to be a traditional man and pay all the bills, do all this, but then at the same breath, I'm not cooking for no grown man. I'm not cleaning behind no grown man. Cleaning is a basic life necessity.
Yeah.
But then you want the man to pay the bills. But when that whole system of men paying the bills was created around women being at home and not working, being a one income household, so you had no choice. So that's just the issue I have with women nowadays. It's just they want everything, and they want it to be their way, and it's just scary. Like I see jokes on Twitter. They want their boyfriend to be a gangbanger but respect women.
Mm-hmm.
They want him to be sweet, but shooting niggas. Like what? You just
Yeah.
So that's the issue I have just with women in general, and I just feel like Oprah was like a component to that mindset.
And it's funny because like we were just talking about earlier, like I don't even like being on the side of people commenting on things that they weren't really outside for, but
Yeah,
like,
because
and that's
obviously
one of
we
them.
weren't
Obviously, we
around
weren't
for
outside
that.
for that.
We seen it and heard it in the background, but we
But
didn't.
you can still speak on history, and I've seen like, okay, this mentality. I just seen
Yeah,
this
you
person
seen a
who
shift because before
there wasn't anything.
it was women just accepted it, which I do think there should be some women coming together and realizing things that they need to, that are wrong in the society, and that
For sure.
what like men, certain things that they accepted from men that they shouldn't accept. I'm all for that. It's just what I don't like is the whole no accountability on your behalf too. Like you can unpack all the issues, realize what we need to fix, realize what men need to fix, and it can't be I hate all men. Like it should be there are good men out there and there are good women out there, and the good men and the good women need to come together and fix our people in our society.
Yeah.
That's what it really should be at the end of the day. It shouldn't be so one sided, and now you hate every single man in the world, and you're just so angry and bitter at every man now. I guess that's such a sad way to live. It's such a sad way to live. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just hope honestly, with the social media era, and just like people waking up, that a lot of people, especially women, could just open their eyes to a lot of their behavior and like realize like this is not cute. You know?
Yeah. It's pretty wild. She definitely popularized it. That's why she made so much money. Not necessarily because she was a crazy good businesswoman. It's just that
Like her talking.
it's just that that specifically, like the anti-man campaign, became such a huge market for money that she became a billionaire off of it.
Yeah, and then that makes you realize, like, it's kind of one of those things. Like, look what people do for the money.
Yeah.
We destroy our own people.
Yeah, for the money. Yeah. And like you see,
there's definitely be a documentary on her one day about it. Probably.
You see Steve Harvey talking about like he did it too, with like think like a man, and then like and then it sells out because then women were buying it. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously it was written for them, but then you see is like he's made millions off of that book, and it's like you just see what markets is like.
It's just so sad, and what I hate is that so many people. I just wish people weren't so
sheepish.
Blind, because if you really just critically think and just realize, like you could see, like if you're following a mass group of people doing the same thing, that should be a red flag for you as a person. Like. And I see tweets all the time about this. How they said they feel like there's like a few select us people out there that really like see through this stuff, and I feel like we're that, and it just scares me because sometimes there's no talking people down. Like people are gonna do what they want to do, and For me, that's a huge red flag. If you feel like you are grouped in that mass of people all doing the same thing, all talking the same, all dressing the same, I would just be concerned. Like that's just, should be a red flag. So it's like, why am I buying this book? And then you hate rich people, but then you're making somebody rich off of a book. Why are you buying this book? To think like a man that, like, what does that
It's not
even
gonna
mean?
teach you anything. Yeah, what does that mean?
Like I feel like
Think like Steve Harvey.
People feel like there's so many answers on what to do, such as like going back to our original conversation, just talk. There's people out there for you. Like there's somebody who's exactly the way you want them to be, and vice versa. Like it's that simple. There's no strategy, and everything's a game. And we gotta 10 signs this man likes me. Like it's none of that. Like, all that stuff is fake, and it's like it's people are so sheepish and they feed into it and they make people rich off of it. And I don't. You can't really judge the rich people. Like we're judging Oprah, but at the end of the day, it's like
no, I'm judging
off people's stupidity.
No, I'm judging because there's a right way. Because you know what the thing is, it was the same thing where like with some of the laws and stuff that are legal now, it's like homeboy was saying, I'm not gonna say his name, so don't jump in and put his name out there, but he was saying how like slavery at one point was legal, but that doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it right. Mm-hmm. And like cigarettes are legal, but that doesn't make it okay. Alcohol's legal, but it doesn't make it okay. So I judge you, like even though there's there's a million ways to make money, so the path that you choose to make it, I will judge you for that.
Yeah, because you could really be helping people. Like instead of bashing men, maybe do therapy, free therapy. You're still making money from ads and people watching, but maybe just do free therapy. Maybe we should really be like doing therapy sessions instead of like. I mean, I feel like there was some good in her thing. I don't think it was her intent was ever ill. I think she just saw a window and took it. I think she started off obviously very, genuine. But I think she did, like every other rich people, saw money making schemes and jumped right onto it.
Yeah, just like you go to any grocery store and then like you'll see a magazine in the front that says 100 ways to please your man. Like all of that is very marketable and it sells.
And this is like, it's just so cringy when you see the woman looking at the magazine and then you see them. I worked at ShopRite. Like I was a cashier. I seen it all the time. Women looking at it. Like that little noise, and then they did it in the cart.
And then they go read it, and then they try to implement it, and then it doesn't work.
And now you're doing all the stuff for your man, and all your man wanted was a hug. Yeah. Or all your man wanted was you to ask him how his day was. Yeah. But you tried to look for a magazine. Now you tying yourself to a ceiling. Now you tying yourself to a ceiling. Like do all these tricks. All your man wanted was a hug.
I don't know about all that. I don't know who's doing.
No, but that's what those magazines like. Cosmopolitan. That's what all those magazines be like. Do your man wants this and that. Like, you don't know who my man is. There's 7 billion people in the world.
You're going to say exactly how and then they put 100 things that, like, obviously.
Yeah. It'll be like, give him a kiss and that.
You don't say.
You don't say that doesn't
or
feel
just
good.
It's like, oh, okay. like say hi to him in the morning.
Yeah.
Or like just all these generic things that like that aren't really applicable.
But
it's
what
like
happened? People buy it.
The number one thing is just to make your man happy is to ask him what makes him happy.
What makes him happy? Like,
that in itself.
People are so scared to talk. Like
that in itself might make them happy. It's like asking somebody what they want or how they feel about something.
Like what are your favorite things to do? And the fact that you might not even know that, it's like sad. Like, you should know what makes your man happy, low key. And like even if those conversations don't happen, you could talk to their family members, you could talk to their brothers, their parents, you could talk to anybody to figure out. But you're so quick to think the magazine has the answers, Oprah has the answers, like, or Steve Harvey has the answers, like. People are so quick for a solution. They think like even the whole like manifesting, and like speaking to existence and like the rocks and all that stuff. People are profiting off of that right now because that's the biggest thing. Manifesting people into your life, manifesting your career. People are like profiting off that. Like people are making bank. Like the whole thing, The Secret. That was like the biggest thing. The Secret, like that book that came out. My mom was one of those people who brought that book, like. And the Secret was basically about to be like, all about manifestation and the law of attraction. And that's like a whole different thing that like, I think that's some like spiritual, it's like a spirituality thing that a lot of cultures do practice. And that's like, and they try to profit off the law of attraction and like make it mainstream. So I respect cultures and that's their beliefs, but it's become so mainstream that people are like literally feeding into it so much that people are profiting off of that. Like people are profiting off the fact that people think they could like manifest somebody.
Yeah.
Which I believe there's energies in the universe and all that stuff, but to some extent, some of that stuff is kind of like that sheepish shit. Like people thinking they could just speak things into the universe. I think if you speak things, I think that's like
It's supposed to be
yeah, I
metaphorical.
feel about to say it's a metaphor. Like if you every day say, "All right, I'm gonna be rich," and then you're actively working for it, you're speaking that into your life. Not you're not literally speaking that into your life. Like I'm gonna put it out, and the world's gonna bounce back into my soul. I'm just gonna be rich. Like you're speaking it like metaphorically. You're speaking it into existence. You say you're going to be rich, and then
You do
you're
things.
doing the work also, and then it happens, and it's not like woo. I spoke this into existence. Like when I say that, I mean it metaphorically. Like I've spoke this into my life. Like I really talked myself into it, and I did it. But some people think that they could really speak words, and it works. It's
Yeah.
just magic.
So yeah, Oprah's definitely problematic.
Yeah.
And that whole culture, and then the downstream effects are even more money for them. But but for us as a society, and this is not specific to Black people, but just in
In
general.
general, it's like at what cost?
Yeah.
You made all that money, but at what cost? Now you have what was that? Now you have damaged people. Like
Yeah. Anything else we got?
not
Hope.
really. I guess the last topic I just had was we could talk about how white people, their according to the census, their race is disappearing. Not necessarily disappearing, but it says the number of white people falls for the first time in the U.S. I think this is just the U.S. Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about how do you think them like decreasing their percentage of decreasing in the country and like America becoming more multicultural and culturally diverse. If you think that possibly white supremacists are going to get very angry because if you think about it, the way history shows white supremacy, like in the KKK, all that is rooted in the fear of being washed out. Like they that's literally what they say. It's like maintaining and preserving their race, the white race, you know? That's the same thing with Hitler. It was a lot about preservation. So you think when stuff like this happens, like you already see stuff happening like with Trump and like obviously Capitol and like that protest in Philly, like the white supremacy and like the Tiki Torch people in Charlottesville, like that was all about white supremacy. So do you think are you worried that when stats like this are coming out and with our country becoming more and more diverse every year, that they'll freak out and like start having attacks? Like, you think we might start seeing random deaths of blacks and like just any minority, like Hispanics, Asians, you know?
I think so. I mean, we've already seen it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't put it past it. I don't think that this is gonna become like a as crazy as people might fear it, because I don't think that people even want those problems. Like, I don't think that they want to be doing that.
I
Because
mean, it's just history though. Like, think about like how history repeats itself. Like
no, I know.
Tulsa, they seen black people doing successful. They didn't like that,
Yeah,
so
but
just kill them, burn their city down.
and they got away with it because it was basically legal. But today's a different age, and I
Yeah.
just think that they can do those things, but it's like all you're gonna do is just end up in jail, or
And especially now that if
it's
we
gonna
are
make it worse.
outnumbering them, if we actually are like now outnumbering them, it's not really gonna work. Like before it worked because we were the minority, but now if things starting to become more equal, and you see they get a lot of hate like now. I mean, we don't know because we just see things from our scope and from like Black Twitter scope and everything, but they do get a lot of like hate and like people hold them accountable.
Yeah, and when you see people getting fired from jobs and stuff like that,
Yeah,
I think that there's of course going to be the people that do things, and hopefully there isn't loss of life involved. But it's like that might have worked in a different era, a different time period, but like nowadays it's just not going to be a thing. Like, I mean, they can do those things, but there's going to at least be some sort of accountability, whether you go to jail. I mean, I think the one thing that they don't want is people starting to retaliate,
yeah,
because
yeah.
that right there is something that the America hasn't seen. Like there's been times where there was like being on the verge of a race war, but no, it never really happened
Got
like
there.
that. But like if they have black people, because I think the common misconception is that black people don't have weapons,
Yeah,
and like I don't know why that's a thing. I think people think because black people are predominantly Democrat. I think that people think that if you're a Democrat that you don't have guns
yeah.
too.
Because you remember that was like there was like something on the news or like a while ago, and it was like somebody from the South like he making threats. Do you remember that? He was
Yeah,
like,
I got grenades and
yeah, like
I gotta
let
do.
them come after me, and it was like, we're not scared.
Like black people down south have, bro. Come on. We
Obviously,
got
stuff.
family down
Yeah.
south. We know how they give it up down there.
Yeah.
It seems they got artillery. So I don't know where that misconception came from. Like it's almost like when
I mean, they still do outnumber us though, so I think that's where the only like fear is. Like if they're worried about falling below, because like it's not like they actually are below. Like you see, this is the graph right here. They just went from in 1990 they were 75.6% of the population to now they're 57.8%. But you still see it's still a gap. So that's what my fear is, because like they're seeing a decline. They're not actually below anybody yet. So it's like, are they going to preserve them? Will they try to kill people? Even though obviously not every single white person, that 57%,
that's what I was about to say,
is a supremacist. Like there's a lot of obviously non-racist good white people out there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So I still think that black people as a whole outnumber the racist white people in America.
True. Yeah,
but
especially
like,
now.
Will they retaliate? I mean, we'll see.
If something did happen, it would be an isolated event. So, I mean, I would hope that they don't all come together and like try to organize something. But who knows? You know, because all of their protests as of late have been like organized from the top. So who knows? That's a whole nother world that they have, you know. But as far as like, they might have their own form of social media, their own form of like, you know, boards. Like, what are they called? Like Reddit, maybe like Reddit boards, like, you know, those like boards. Are they called boards?
Reddit boards?
No, like, are they called? What are they called? Something boards.
I just call them Reddit threads.
No, but like, isn't something
like the communities?
Yeah.
I think it's just Reddit communities.
No, but isn't there something called something boards? Like when people online, they're like,
huh?
You never heard that terminology? Like when people, like, what is Reddit? Reddit is something like a board. You're not gonna make me feel like I'm crazy. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, Reddit is a something board.
Like a...
Go ahead. I want to see you try to find this.
You know what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. It's a something board.
It's like a posting board.
Yeah, a posting board. Yeah, they do all that.
A message board.
Reddit is definitely not considered a message board.
Okay, but they might have like a message board.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I meant. You know what I meant. Like they might have a message board.
Yeah, message board.
With all their KKK, white supremacists, white reign supreme people.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just hope that they don't organize something, but you just never know.
Yeah.
So I think the best thing to do, honestly, just to be vigilant, be smart, don't be out.
Vigilant?
Yeah, vigilant.
Vigilant.
I'm not Christian. I don't care. Oh my God.
Vigilant. You sound wild, like uneducated.
So dumb. And I'm actually really smart. I just have a speech problem, I think. Like, I can't speak sometimes. Vigilant.
Vigilant is crazy.
Vigilant. I should know this too. My mom made me do phonics.
All right, here we go. No, here we go.
I was like brainwashed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that anything crazy is going to happen. I mean, they're capable of doing crazy stuff, but, you know, you see what happens when you do crazy stuff at the Capitol.
You just never know, though, because they might just have like one of those Capitol moments and lash out.
And if they do, then I'm sure people will die.
Blinded by rage.
I'm sure they'll die.
Yeah.
Because you saw, you know, people...
You saw what happened, yeah.
Yeah, we ain't even going to speak on that, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really all I got on that.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, you know, anybody listening, just always be aware of your surroundings. Don't be too lackadaisical. I can't speak. Lackadaisical. Oh my God.
All right, we're getting out of here. It's lackadaisical. All
when
right.
you're out in public, just obviously be aware. And I think everybody should honestly get their gun license and just be protected. Yeah. And just watch out. Just don't be out by yourself at night, walking around.
Yeah. So you're going to go to bed. We're going to wrap up the pod.
I'm tired.
Yeah. A little bit short one today. I thought it was going to be even shorter, but
yeah. We tried to go under 2 hours today, but it is what it is.
Yep. So that's all I got. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been the A Couple of Things podcast with Mal and Alex, where we talked about a couple of things. Thank you all. We will see you next time.